everyone look around real quick. Do you see him? Nah, cause he ain't here, but he's coming back. Terry, talk to him.
In a garden where they brought him, yeah, they thought that he'd still be there Sunday morning. They've forgotten what he taught them. In 3 days he proved that he's the Son of God, yeah. Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is risen like he said. Death and hell can't hold him anymore. Who you looking for? He's not here. What you waiting on? You did it here. Stay away, heroes to the clouds. He'll come back down. Oh, don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody. Ooh, don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody. It's a miracle, we don't need it. By the grace of God who helps us to receive it. Man, I get it, you may not feel it, but blessed are those who believe and never seen it. Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is risen like he said. Death and hell can't hold him anymore. Who you looking for? He's not here. What you waiting on? You did it here. Stay away, heroes to the clouds. He'll come back down. Ooh, don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody. Ooh, don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody. Seek the living among the dead. He is risen like he said. Death and hell can't hold them anymore. Who you looking for? He's not here. What you waiting on? You did it here. He's coming back. Yes, sir. Stay away. He'll come back down. Don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody. Don't tell somebody. Looking, won't find nobody.
I got my girls with me. Queen Lee, TK Lee, One Day, and Portia.
Yeah, young little guy can't wipe me. Cross on my neck got me icy. Me and all my girls so hypey, so hypey, so hypey. Yeah, say we taking over, just might be. Whole squad up, call it high key. Say we runners up, not likely. Holy girl got the juice like high
I'm a hot girl summer, but I been hot. She in a bag, got that juice, got that drip drop. I ain't the one nor the two, I'm the tip top. You tryna wife with your life, that's a flip flop. Holy girls up, what you mean, huh? Ass turning heavy when we sing, huh? We only rep the king, no between, huh? And if you question, no we flex and get that cheese, huh? Now what you wanna do for the crew? Got the army around me strapped, but I walk with a few. And I'm loving all my neighbors, but the haters get it too. Call me Noah in the ark, saving souls by the twos,
young little guy can't wipe me. Cross on my neck got me icy. Me and all my girls so hypey, so hypey, so hypey. Yeah, say we taking over, just might be. Whole squad up, call it high key. Say we runners up, not likely. Holy girl got the juice like
Trying to
Hennessy.
figure out why they doubted from beginning. Push to the side, that's alright, yeah, I get it. But nothing ain't dead,
girl slay. Searching for the Lord about me, he gon'
yeah.
pay.
Young love God can't wipe me. Cross on my neck got me icy. Me and all my girls so hypey, so hypey, so hypey. Yeah, say we taking over, just might be. Whole squad up, call it high key. Say we runners up, not likely. Holy girl got the juice like high C.
Holy Spirit in the room, that's that KO. Dripping in the blood, and I still a white though. See, they taking shots, but that never let it bother me. Judas switched on Jesus, so I guess I'm in good company. Okay, been a threat. Like I caught a plays, like he bill a check. Crosses over checks, yeah, that's been a flex. Y'all still working on me, he ain't finished yet. I'm like a Vegeta, my Bible a heater. I'm living like Peter, I'm running for Jesus. I follow the leader, they aim in their hands, they counting me out, they wanted me dead. But retreat, get me 6 feet. Protect elite, squad way too deep.
If we mind being, let me know. Spirit speak, tell us where to go. From the south side to the north. Bring the heat, we ain't ducking smoke.
You gon' have to stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot.
Master, please don't get me gassed up. Told them I was next, they thought I was getting past up. Let go of that depression, told them miss me with that sad stuff. I had told the reverend, gone and dip me in that bathtub. And we mobbing on them, told them I was really by that action. I ain't never scared, keep a Bible in the mattress. Told them if they want it, they could get it if you ask it. I'm in love with it, do it with a passion. I'm a problem, okay? I just talked to God, he say do it, do it, do it, do it. I just kick my feet up while I praise him in advance. You don't want no problem, you don't really wanna dance.
If we mind being, let me know. Spirit speak, tell us where to go. From the south side to the north. Bring the heat, we ain't ducking smoke.
You gon' have to stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot. Real big blessings around me, used to be bound, now I got boundaries. Enemy wanna be dead, put a price on my head like a bounty. He thought it was sweet like a brownie, but God found me. Now his head on the swivel, fall let me down, I ain't let up a little. Thought I'd stop, now I can feel like they solving a riddle. They said it wasn't possible, God said he knocking down the obstacle. Why by faith, not the object. With Jesus, anything is possible. They say that pressure make diamonds. I'm still refining, attacking a beat like a lineman. Seeking him further, my only assignment. God got my back like he hitting the hymen. That's why I'm stepping on serpents. God said get in there, get in there, get in there. Yes, I got you, really was chosen. I'm with the God of Moses. The great I am, say I'm heaven sent. Urging my temporary home, I'm a resident. Pushing and carrying out the pestilence. The fruit, the evidence.
If we mind being, let me know. Spirit speak, tell us where to go. From the south side to the north. Bring the heat, we ain't ducking smoke.
You gon' have to stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Don't get too hot.
Hey y'all, Arson Darksea here. How y'all doing? I'm fine. I'm super excited for today's special live stream. This is going to be our second girls only live stream. No boys allowed now. Get out of here, y'all. And I'm just so happy that all you ladies made it here today. Get yourself a snack, something good to drink, and just sit back and relax. Today, we're going to see some disturbing clips and hear some disturbing stories. But this is real life. This is what women really go through, and we're going to try our best not to be one of these women. But if you have been through something, don't have fear in sharing your story, and feel free to share your story in the comments section because I'd love to know. Before we begin, I'd like to quickly say, I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone who has prayed for me and donated to help support me in my work. These videos and documentaries take a lot of time and money to produce, and I couldn't do it without you. If you would like to donate to help me with future projects, please donate through the links located in the description underneath this video, as every dollar truly helps and is greatly appreciated. Please double check to make sure that you're subscribed to all channels linked in the description so that in case anything were to happen to this channel tomorrow, we could remain connected. I also have an ODYSEE channel you can subscribe to so that we can stay connected through the censorship. Please also join our locals website. You can make either a free or paid account so that I can send you emails if, hypothetically, all 6 channels happen to get deleted overnight. I could still contact you and let you know the name of the new channel I made. If you'd like a coupon for a free membership that'll grant you access to the paid content on our locals website, please email me requesting a coupon code and I will gladly give it to you. My email address is arsondarksea@gmail.com. Once we reach 50 members on locals, I can do proper live streams, sharing free documentaries, and I can also upload more videos on there as I currently am only allowed to upload up to 5 gigabytes monthly, which is very limiting. I mean, my documentaries tend to be about 20 to 50 gigabytes these days, man, I'll tell you. Anyway, thank you all again for everything that you've done for me. Please keep me in your prayers. Here's a quick prayer of protection for what you're about to witness. I plead the blood of Jesus Christ over all viewers, and I plead the blood of Jesus Christ over their eye gates, ear gates, and skin gates, as well as all frequencies affecting them in the name of Jesus Christ. Heavenly Father, bless all viewers and subscribers and give them the eyes to see and ears to hear and lead them all to salvation in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. First of all, this is a victim blame-free zone. If something happened to you, it is not your fault whatsoever. But I just want to give us some of the tools that we can use to minimize the likelihood that we'll be attacked, starting with awareness. But don't get it twisted. You can do everything right under the sun and stuff can still happen. That's just the world that we live in, and we do indeed live in a fallen world. These are shark-infested waters, ladies. You don't want to get into shark-infested waters while your leg is bleeding, so to speak, right? If you're bleeding, you should know, hey, going into shark-infested waters probably isn't the best idea right now. And I'm trying to show you some ways you can patch up your leg well enough to go for a swim in a world like this. So let's begin. The way we present ourselves. It's not always about how you dress, but also about your demeanor and where your boundaries lie. Now, like I've said before, you can do everything right and still get blamed when things go wrong, so don't get mad at yourself or God if you take my advice and still get blamed, because that's just how it is being a woman most of the time. But I would suggest carrying yourself confidently. And if a man approaches you and he wants something from you like your personal information, and especially if you get some creepy vibes from him and you don't truly want to give your information away in the first place, but you feel intimidated and pressured to give that information or do something that you don't want to do, sternly say no and keep walking. And if that man dare follow you, immediately start dialing 911. That'd be my advice. Because if a woman says no and she shows no interest and she is already walking on her way out of there, a man should have no reason to continue pursuing her unless he wants to start something. Now, there's an exception to almost every rule, but for the most part, no man should want to continue following you when you clearly have zero interest in what he's trying to sell. My mom always told me that if you're walking in New York, for example, and you're not from New York, and you're just a tourist and you truly don't know where you're going, or you could be completely lost, still walk and pretend like you live there, basically like you own the place, and you know what you're doing and you know where you're going. Otherwise, you're likely to have some people come up to you and try to scam you or mug you or whatever, because they can tell that you're nervous and you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, and you can easily be taken advantage of. And that is often the demeanor a lot of us ladies accidentally portray. And again, it's not your fault if something happens, but these are just the tools that can help us a little bit. In regards to our wardrobe, however, I of course will always highly suggest modesty, not just because I believe that's common sense in general, but because I'm a Christian woman. And that is what God asks of his children, male and female, from what I understand, is modesty. Keep in mind, however, that chicks in the Middle East who are wearing burqas still get raped too. So at the end of the day, it comes down to a pathetic little man with no self-control, and it does not come down to what a woman wears. But it'll almost definitely help your case if you're modestly dressed if something does go down and the police get involved, because the police, especially in big cities, tend to love blaming women for assault based on what the woman wears. Let people know where you are. Make sure you let more than one person know, because people can drop the ball. People have memory issues, they get distracted, etc. Give them the license plate number of who you're with. Don't ever give a man your address. Maybe give out email addresses instead of phone numbers, or see if you can make like a spoof phone number or something to start out with. Put more weight on red flags and stop giving the benefit of the doubt to people because they don't deserve it. I have had so many situations, like in my childhood and adolescent years or whatever, where, I had people unrighteously judge me and burn bridges, and it hurt me so badly that I had the problem of giving people the benefit of the doubt straight away. People who I just met or have only known for however long, giving them the benefit of the doubt when they don't deserve it. They're not like me, where they have genuine intentions and they're trying their best and they want to improve upon themselves. I have had to learn the hard way so many times that most people aren't like that. Most people don't care. Most people don't try. They just give you the illusion that they care and they try, but they really don't. So don't give these men who you're going on a first or second or third date with the benefit of the doubt. They don't deserve it. Unless you have gone through a whole lot with this person and you know them for a long time and you know the kind of person they are and that they've earned the right of the benefit of the doubt, especially when it comes to a man, don't give it to him. If he hangs up on you one time, it's over. If he disrespects you, if he's coming off as pushy, or if you just have a feeling that he wants things that he's claiming he doesn't want, it's over. And you should have no problem with at least taking things slow and being like, hey, I'm seeing some red flags and I think we should take things slower. I don't want us to act like we're in a relationship. I just want to get to know each other. And then if he's acting more impatient or ends up disappearing because he didn't get what he wants, then good. You know that you dodged a bullet, honey. It's funny how often I'll deal with guys who come out of the woodwork. I don't even know who they are. I'm just starting to get to know them, okay? And then they get all offended because I don't magically know, oh yeah, you're a good guy and I can just trust you, And they'll get all offended as if they're the only man in the world or something. And then as time goes on, you realize, oh, he really wasn't so different after all. He really wasn't the guy he thinks he is. It's like that part of the movie Rocky where he was just trying to convince that girl to go into his place. This is the face you can trust, or whatever.
Hey, you want to come inside?
No, I gotta go.
Hey, come on. Hey, I got some animals. I got these very rare animals inside. Come on.
What? It's been a really nice day, and I saw an ice cream truck around the corner. Would you like to go get some ice cream?
Come on in.
No, I gotta go.
Well, I gotta go too. I gotta go to the bathroom. Come on. Come on.
No, I gotta go.
Hey, look at this face. Is that a face you can trust or what? Huh? Is it? You gotta stick this face on a stamp. What do you think? Huh? Come on. Come on in.
That's just how most, if not all, guys are, and most, if not all, of the ones that behave this way can't be trusted. We need to realize and admit that these are the last days, ladies, and we are the remnant. That means that there are hardly any true Christians out there at all. Yet there are plenty of counterfeit Christians. There are plenty of snakes in the grass who will look and act and sound like true Christians who you can trust, and many of them will be people that you have known for years and you really think you can trust them. These are very deceptive times, full of illusions, and we cannot step out into the world and let any Tom, Dick, or Harry get the better of us by pulling the wool over our eyes through their smooth talk and phony personas. We have to wear the full armor of God at all times and not be so quick to trust and not automatically assume that someone who is smiling at us and saying nice things has the best intentions. Because unfortunately, oftentimes that is not the case. Oftentimes, it's the ones who are smiling at you and complimenting you who mean you the most harm. We have to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. And hopefully this live stream will help us all in growing our wisdom, mostly by learning through the tough lessons other ladies have learned. Today, I'll show you the type of men out there, as well as testimonies from other ladies varying from unusual to downright horrifying. Let's start with weak men.
I'm about to really get chased by this bird. What, man?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I don't care, bro. I don't care.
I couldn't afford a PS5. Okay, stop, for real. I couldn't afford no PS5.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you. You doing all this because I didn't get you a game?
Yes. You told me you was gonna give me a PS5, bro. You never told me that, bro.
Bro, you are damn near 30 years old. You talking about somebody that buy you a PS5.
Your word is your bond. Start keeping your word, but you can't give me a PS5 because why? You spent all this money on your son.
What did you get my son?
son?
What did you get my son?
I didn't get your son nothing. That's not my son at the end of the day.
So why? And you're not my son at the end of the day. So why should I be buying you a PS5?
Don't spend nothing on your son if you're not gonna get my PS5 like you told me last year. Huh?
Alright, you know what?
Huh?
Don't even worry about it, G, because I ain't gonna lie. All
I
this
know,
shit
right?
that you're doing is petty.
I know, right? Now I'm petty. Now I'm petty because I'm breaking the toys.
And the whole world finna see how you
Now I'm
act.
petty because I'm breaking
Your
the
ass
toys.
almost 30 years old.
Now I'm petty because I'm breaking the toys, bro.
Can you do a roast?
You want me to do a roast? I gave birth 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago, and you came out of the hospital straight away. You've been sitting around all this time, so you can make a roast. And it's not easy for me either. Right, I didn't give birth. No, but I'm not sleeping like you, so I'm not.
Why are you gaslighting me?
Gaslighting you? You always say I'm gaslighting you. You've got like a couple of hours to
Oh, you
yourself.
sit on your ass like a baby and stood slaving over a hot stove. It doesn't work like that.
7 hours a day, so you're saying it's easy. Yeah, so if that's the case, then you go in the kitchen and can't you?
Can't we get the audacity to tell me that my grandma can't stay here when we got 3 bedrooms?
Why are you recording me?
Because I want to show my family this. This is crazy.
Show your family?
Yeah, but you trying to make it seem like my grandma can't stay here, but we got a whole loft that she can stay in.
We
Our
already
kids
talked
can stay.
about this. Your grandmother is not staying here.
She
We
is
do not
staying.
have enough room.
Take that stuff out the loft, all the extra boxes we got, that can go into the garage
That's
somewhere.
storage. It's gonna stay storage.
No, I get her bed and put her bed there. She's good. All she needs is a little bit of time. So wherever you get the way you get the time.
A little bit of time, or she gonna be staying.
She's gonna be staying. My grandmom is staying.
No, she's not staying.
She's staying. Yes, she is. She's staying here. Hey, look.
We don't have enough room. I already told you that.
But this is my family here, okay? So I'm
your family.
Get
So
that clear.
you need to take care of your family. She needs to be staying in
and
a
you
nursing
need to take
home.
care of
Nobody got
our
time for
family.
that.
My family
Yes,
is
I do take care of our family.
Okay, no, you take care of me and family, the kids. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I
but
do.
our grandma need to stay here too. All you need to listen.
Matt,
This is what my mom told me. All she need to do, this is her routine. All she need to do is wake up in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, fix her breakfast.
I don't care about your grandmother's schedule. You need to put
I'm gonna tell you her schedule because
when
I go to work, you taking care of her. Listen, at 8 o'clock
how
in the
you gonna
morning.
tell me what I'm gonna do when you go to work? Like I don't have no job. Like I don't have no life. Like, no, I'm not doing that. She's not staying here. That room is staying storage.
Can you hear me say right now?
I'm not gonna hear. What is that? If you
cared
cared about your grandmother like you say you do, you gonna put her in a certified home.
I don't got listen.
Nobody got time for that.
You got time for that. Why you look at you right now watching TV? What you know what you can do?
I'm watching TV because I'm chilling. I'm not at work right now. I'm resting. Can I rest?
Right now, what you can
in
do?
my time of rest, you gonna come up the stairs, you gonna bring this camera in my face.
Yeah,
for what?
Because
for what?
Because you know what you can be doing? You can give her meds, put her to bed. All she takes a little bit of care. She sit down and watch Family Feud all day. All she needs
so I'm supposed to just give up my life so I can take care of your grandmama.
What you like?
What are you doing for your grandmama?
Why can't you offer?
Quit your job since you care so much. Quit your job.
Then where you gonna live?
I'll go to work.
How about
and you can stay here and you can wipe your grandmother because I'm not doing it.
Okay, see what's all that? Listen, tell me that. This is my family here, so you gotta respect that. You respect that. You respect me.
You want me to respect your grandmother, but you don't even respect me. You come up in here, you yelling, you screaming, you telling me I gotta take care of her. I gotta do that. I don't have to.
But listen, this is your husband's grandma. So listen, I'm asking you to have some respect.
I really want to hear this. Listen,
No,
your grandmother is not staying here. Like I said, I put my foot down. That room is gonna stay occupied whether they're or not. I got a family to take care of. I gotta take care of you. I gotta take care of the twins. I gotta take care of your grandma too. I gotta feed her. I gotta give her meds. I'm not doing all of that. I'm not doing all that. And on top of working the job that I already have. Are you out of your mind?
Listen.
You didn't even think this through before you came up here.
But all she do is watch Family Feud. Okay,
and she can sit in a nursing home with her applesauce and watch Family Feud because I'm not doing it.
When our kids get ready for school, all she needs is give her meds. She take a couple of meds in the morning.
Why can't you do this? Why are you making this such a big deal?
Because you're the woman. You're supposed to.
Okay, so and what you gonna do if I say no?
You the nurse.
And what you gonna do if I say no?
Then we have a problem.
Okay, I guess we got a problem then. So what you gonna do about it? Because I said no.
You don't see. So what happened when you get older and you don't you want something like don't you believe in karma?
When I get older, I'm gonna save enough so that I can take care of my.
Well, I'm not taking her to a nursing home. I'll tell you that right now.
You're going to take her to a nursing home because she's not coming up in here.
Oh, yes, she is.
No, she ain't. I will back up out here because she's not staying in here.
I want to talk to my mom.
Like I said, she's not staying here. Go ahead and call your grandma. Tell her to go ahead, pack it up.
$7,000.
You ain't coming here. I'm sorry. You have to figure something else out.
And I watch those commercials talking about nursing home people malnourished with bed sores and stuff like that. My grandma ain't staying there.
Okay, didn't nobody say you had to get a one-star nursing home? Go find something better. I'm not doing this. What do you want me to do?
I don't know. Hey. All I know is, I went down to the one nurse home down there. I'm not taking my grandma to the nurse home. We need to keep her hair. She's better hair. She's more relaxed hair. Just get up in the morning. We give her medicine. Give her her dentures in. Give her her food. That's all you gotta do. She don't make too much. She'll tell you when she gotta go to the restroom. It's no big deal. You make this out of a big deal. You took care of kids.
Do I look like ring a bell and I'm supposed to take your grandmother to the bathroom every time? Supposed to rub her up with lotion? Supposed to give her meds? Supposed to feed her? I'm not doing this. You don't understand how much responsibility that takes. And I'm already stressed out. I'm not doing that. You have to figure something else out. I'm sorry.
I did figure out.
You got to figure something else out.
Hey man, I got this. You got to do some extra work. Or you sitting there?
I'm not doing no extra nothing.
You sitting there watching TV.
And I'm gonna continue to sit here and watch my TV.
You want to do
nothing? And I'm gonna enjoy my shows.
All right. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, figure it out.
She's coming here. I'll tell you that right now.
She's not coming here. And if she comes in here, you're not going to have no wife. I'll tell you that much.
Whoa. Now, shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired.
So really? So now it's going to be about a marriage now.
I'm not, look, you're going to have to, you know what? How about this? You and your grandma can go get a house and live together. How about that?
Man, you tripping.
When it comes to men like this, they might be okay as work colleagues, acquaintances, and maybe even friends. But dudes like these are not marriage material. When I say weak, I'm not talking about physically weak, but weakness in every other way. Mental, emotional, and spiritual weakness. If you feel like you're the one that has to take lead in the relationship, otherwise there'd be little to no progress, such as you always being the one to make every decision because he acts clueless, instead of respectfully asking your opinion on a matter that he already has his own opinions on, then it's over. If you feel like he won't get the things accomplished that are his responsibility unless you continually check behind him like you're his mom ensuring that your son gets his homework done, then it's over. If you feel like you have to walk on eggshells just to have the most simple conversations because so much of what you say gets him anxious or depressed, then it's over. If he can't handle little things while he's still unmarried and life is relatively easy, then he won't be able to handle squat after marriage, and you'll make yourself sick, physically sick, picking up his slack.
This is the lie that gets told to men too, right? You hear, oh, women want a vulnerable man. They want a guy who shows weakness. They want someone who's going to be a human and show all that weakness. And then guys do that. And the woman's like, maybe we should see other people. Why? Because that guy who just let it all out and starts complaining and starts stressing out about work or money and starts just vomiting out stress, all of a sudden to you doesn't seem sturdy. Does not seem like somebody that you can lean on. And you're sitting there saying, well, if he's having a nervous breakdown, who's going to take care of me when I have mine in 3 hours? Because you know, as women, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes the emotions kick in and we just need to do what we do. But you need that sturdy guy next to you. So guys are saying this advice that they're getting from the feminist movement, from the women's magazines, from the network TV, whatever it may be, it's not good.
If you're starving spiritually or feeling spiritually drained because he doesn't initiate prayer or Bible time with you, then it's over. If you have more faith in him, and it's to the point where you notice that whenever times are tough or something unexpected happens, he freaks out, can hardly handle it, or can't handle it well, then it's over. Again, we're not talking about friend material here. We're talking about marriage material. And the fact is that most men just won't qualify, and that's not your problem, sis. Let them cry and think you're mean while you keep moving on with your life in peace.
You can get in.
Who are you?
What you mean?
You are not the man in this picture.
No, I took that picture when I was in Africa. Yeah, but you can come in. Come sit down.
Where are your eyebrows?
Stephen that I went on a couple of dates with, he started messaging me again. Hey Katie, it's been a while. I've been holding back on this for a while, but I really just have to get it off my chest. You've not been in contact with me since our last date. Like, come on. And he's left me loads of voice messages.
Please play him, please.
Like, come on, what is this? I took you out on a date and now you're not in contact with me anymore. Like, you know how in modern day society, like, you've got feminism blowing up and everything. What about men's rights? What about the fact that I pay for everything when we're on a date? What are you going to do about it? Like, I feel like I need to be repaid for what I gave, and then, like, nothing came of it, so you're wasting my time. Like, any normal person. Like, come on, like, this is ridiculous.
Is he having a laugh?
So, like, I've calculated everything out, and it's come to about, like, I spent well over £300, so I'm going to say you owe me 150 quid for every single place that we went on. Pay in half, pay your way forward. That's how it works.
He wants money back.
Like, you can't be there not talking to me and going, I'm just going to take him out and I'm going to go with him on a date, and you ate half the food, so you can pay for half the date, so...
You took me for the food? Of course I ate the food!
I'm expecting you to pay me. Let me spell it out for you, like, very, very easily, you know?
No, we didn't.
When you go on a date with a person, you normally have to be in contact with them afterwards, you know? That's like the normal thing that goes on in a person's
No giving me dating advice.
This is psycho behaviour.
I can't even listen to them all.
I didn't even enjoy the date.
So yesterday was the first day in my life I have ever abruptly just left a date. Just left. I was just like, I gotta walk away. So this guy yesterday I met, 2 days before yesterday I met him, and he texted me. He was like, hey, what you doing? Do you want to go meet at the place that we met at and have drinks? First round on me, right? And so I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we get to the place, and there's like a mom and pop's catfish place next door. So he's like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I want some food. What you want? I said, just whatever type of fish you got. So he comes back with one fish chicken fry basket. So we split it. And then the bartender comes out. We order our drinks, and he's like, oh, you going to pay for the drinks? I was like, no. I was like, you said first round was going to be on you. And he was like, oh, I can't stand women. They only want to get free drinks and food for free from men and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You literally said in your text message that the first round of drinks was on you. He goes, well, I paid for the food over here and you can at least pay for the drinks. I'm like, you said you were hungry. You ordered food. You said the first round of drinks was on you. So I don't understand what the problem is right now. And he's like, well, you got money. You could pay for it. I say, I could pay for it, but that was not the deal. You said you were going to pay for the first round. And he was just like going off. And he's like, you do it. You pay for the drinks. I'm like, I'm not paying for the drinks. Like, I don't understand what the problem was. Like, write me if I was drunk. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk away. I didn't even get to enjoy my drink. I was so mad because it was so good. It was a spicy lavender margarita. And I didn't even get to drink. I took maybe like 3 sips out the drink. And I just walked away and walked to my car. I was like, this man has got me effed all the way up.
So I have a history of situationships, and I used to chase unavailable men, constantly going after, you know, men who didn't want relationships, and it was a pattern. It was an avoidant a pattern of mine. It was actually safer to chase these men than let anybody reel in. But I was in a situationship with a man for over 2 years, and we had great chemistry. We got along amazingly. I had so much fun with him. He was successful. He was over 40. I just sort of thought that he would come around. But I never really heard him. I mean, right when we started talking, he told me he didn't want a relationship, he didn't want something serious, and I just let my feelings and my emotions sort of keep me there as an option for him. And again, I thought he would just come around and change his mind. So after like 2 years of us being in this situationship, he had like a tough night out or something happened, and I remember I ran to his side. You know, he needed help. I took care of him, I nurtured him, I did all these things for him always at the drop of a hat. But not too shortly after, I was going through a really hard time mentally, emotionally, and I'll never forget, he reached out to me and I was like, I'm not doing okay, you know, I need help, I need something. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, call me when you're better. And it was that moment that I realized I had let this man stay in my life for 2 years, thinking that he could just come in, have fun, whatever, leave, and he was not truly ever going to be there for me. And it was at that moment that I decided that I was going to change the way that I showed up, that I deserved to have someone take care of me when I needed it, and that I was showing up in a way that was not honoring what I truly wanted when it came to dating. So I broke it off with him, and I showed up different to the dating scene. I created my workbook, and literally it worked.
No salt. First date red flags. Picture this. I agreed to a first date with a gentleman. I arrive at the restaurant. He's already sitting at the bar. He has a salad and a cocktail. I sit down to join him. He tells me I can order whatever I want on the menu. And I say, okay. So at the time I was feeling like salmon, some mashed potatoes, and some asparagus. So I place my order. We chat. During the conversation, during the conversation and me waiting for my food, he talks a lot about himself. He asked me some very minimal questions, but he seemed to be a little bit self-absorbed. I know how guys can be sometimes. They are excited about their job and what they got going on. So he just yada, yada, yada. No salt. So the meal comes out, the bartender, because we're sitting at the bartender brings out my food. And I say to myself, oh, I know I'm going to need some salt and pepper on my asparagus, because asparagus to me doesn't taste good unless it's seasoned properly for all my asparagus eaters. So he then says to me, oh, I don't like a woman who uses salt. I think to myself, who am I sitting next to? Ike Turner and reincarnate? So, you know your girl, well, maybe you're going to get to know me. I don't like when people tell me I can't do something. So I waved the bartender down. I was like, excuse me, can you please bring me some salt and pepper? And so out the side of my eye, I see the guy look like he pissed off. So anyway, I get the salt. I sprinkle just enough on my asparagus to make it tastes good to me, and I put some black pepper, and he says to me, wait for it, I can't believe you did that. What? So I turn to him and I say, excuse me, you can't believe I did what? I said, you make it seem like I disobeyed you. I said, I don't know what's going on in your mind, but I'm an adult. And I heard you say that you don't like a woman who uses salt. You don't like a woman who uses salt. I said, well, you ain't got to like me because I like me. And I'm my own person. I make my own food choice decisions. I said, we're on a first date. You got to be kidding me. You clocking my salt intake? I said, at no point, sir, did I tell you that I have hypertension, that I'm on prescription medication. I said, I'm in very good health. I don't take medication for any illnesses. I said, we've never had those kind of conversations. It's a first date. And you're telling me no salt? I'm like, what's going on? Next, you're going to be telling me how to chew my food. You're going to be telling me I can't wear pencil skirts and I got to relax my natural hair and I can't go out with my friends. I'm like, you're coming across very controlling on a first date. I said, something is not right. And he said to me, oh no, it's not that I'm being controlling. I just don't like women that use salt. I said, again, you ain't got to like me. I like me. I said, and if you're not happy with the fact that I use salt, then I can pay for my own meal. I said, this is really weird. I said, I've never experienced such like this before on a first date. No salt. I'm like, all the things that I'm bringing to the table, you would like to nitpick about me using a little bit of salt on my asparagus? Red flag. If you go on a date with a guy and he's already nitpicking you and telling you about what he likes and what he doesn't like about a woman, and you know it's specifically something that he's referencing about you, that's a red flag that this guy is telling you that if you want to be on his boat or ride his train, that you got to basically deny yourself and do everything that he wants. That's not a loving relationship. That's a sign of someone who's emotionally unhealthy. That's a sign that someone is manipulative. That's a sign that someone could be highly narcissistic. Either way, it all spells toxic to me. And so I continue to eat my food, but I'm trying to just get through the meal because at this point I'm feeling uncomfortable. When you get that intrinsic feeling inside of you that something is not right with a person, don't push it off. That's your intuition. That is the Holy Spirit telling you that this is not your person. This is not someone that you should proceed forward with. So he pays for the meal, and then we get outside the restaurant, and I say to him, you know, I really don't feel like there should be another date, a second date. And he's like, well, why? You know, I feel like we were hitting it off. I said, I don't feel that way. I said, in addition to you telling me that I can't have any salt on my asparagus, my God, you were kind of pressuring me about even picking me up for the date. You wanted to know where I lived. You wanted to come to my house. You wanted me to get in your car as opposed to driving my own car and meeting you there. And then when I told you that I did not want to drive in the car with you, I did not want you to know where I lived initially on the first date, you called me stubborn. You said that I was slightly stubborn. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm cautious. And I said, you know, so it was that, and then the no salt. And then, you know, you just went on and on about yourself. I said, I feel like you really didn't take time to get to know me. And then he's like, instead of him at this point, I'm thinking he's going to say, well, forgive me, you know, maybe I overspoke, or, you know, maybe I was just excited to go out on a date with you, and, you know, I kind of got tangled up in myself. Can you give me another opportunity? No, this guy said that, you know, he didn't see where there was an error in his ways. He took no accountability for his behavior, or, you know, his aggressiveness or overbearingness. So again, another red flag. So just to recap, if you're out with a guy and a guy is overbearing, seems like he is overly aggressive, controlling, run, get away from him. If a guy is asking to pick you up at your house and want to know where you live on a first date, run, get away from him. If a guy like is insulting to you and you tell him he did something to you that you don't like, and he takes no accountability, he offers no apology, he doesn't back down off of what he did, run. And lastly, go with your gut instinct. Your gut will never fail you. A lot of times we as women, we push it away. Don't do that. And as always, kings and queens, consider liking and following PridelessChickz. Peace.
One time I was talking to this guy on Bumble and he wanted to go on a first date and he wanted to go on a hike. And I know that's like a new thing now that people want to go on a hike and don't want to get a drink, don't want to do that. I was like, okay, that's fine, but I don't want to go on a hike. I don't want to go in the middle of nowhere in the woods with someone that I don't know. I was like, well, how about a park or something? He's like, no, I want to go on a hike. And I was like, okay, you're going to go on a hike by yourself then. I'm not going into the woods with, or into the middle of nowhere with someone I don't even know, sir. And he was like, all right, well, we can go for a drive then. I'm like, I don't want to go for a drive. If I didn't want to go on a hike, I don't want to go for a drive. I do not want to be alone with you, sir. That is not what we're going to do on a first date. Hello, people are crazy. So then he was like super pushy about it and I thought that was weird. And then he was like, well, that's fine. We can go to this park then. I'll pick you up. What's your address? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not giving you my address. You're a stranger. And he was like, why? I want to be a gentleman. Why won't you let me pick you up? And I was like, you can be a gentleman in a million ways and you being super pushy right now is not the way to be a gentleman. I am not giving you my address. And he was like super aggressive about it. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to block you. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. So I blocked him on Bumble. Now, he didn't have my full name. He didn't have my phone number. All of a sudden I get this Facebook message and he was like, hey, sorry, I'm in the CVS parking lot. Someone pulled up next to me. He was like, hey, why did you block me? And I was like, bro, this is why I blocked you. First of all, you are super aggressive. You want to meet in the middle of nowhere. Second of all, you want my address. You're like, want to pick me up, whatever. And now you found me on Facebook. I do not know how. Like, I blocked you and unless you had my images saved and then you Google image search me after, like, why did you even have my picture? Like, how could you even find me after Bumble? So then I blocked him on Facebook and he finds me on Instagram. And I was like, bro, you are boo, 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 like setting up all sorts of alarms. So then I got back on Bumble and I like reported him to Bumble and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. He seems super creepy. He's super pushy about a first date. He wants to meet a first date in the middle of nowhere. He wants to meet in the woods. He wants to go for a drive, whatever. Now he's found me on all of these different forms of social media. So I blocked him. I blocked him here. I blocked him on all forms of social media that I can. And then I didn't hear from him again, but I was like, this is a little sketchy. So I have the guy's like information and I am always like watching the news to see if maybe he pops up as like a serial killer or something. But I think I might post him on one of those Are We Dating the Same Guys and just be like, hey, alert, alarms, like watch out for this dude because he wants to meet you in the middle of nowhere, wants your address, and then he gets really angry if you don't get.
So when I was 20 years old, I started dating this guy and we got super close so fast. I was in love with this man. He could do no wrong. To this day, I still think he was the best person I've ever dated. I was so in love with him. I thought I was gonna marry him. The only red flag about him was that he hated vegetables, which to me, like, if you don't like vegetables, grow up, but whatever. I was willing to let it slide for him. He would always come over to my parents' house for dinner. He would hang out with me and my brother. We were so close. But he never let me meet his family, which I thought was super weird. And, you know, things moved really quickly. Like 5 months into our relationship, we're talking about like, we want to marry each other. So I genuinely believed that this man was going to be my husband. And I was like, okay, well, if you want me to be your husband, you're going to have to introduce me to your family. I think it's super weird that I haven't met them yet because you hang out with my family all the time. And finally, he agrees to let me meet his parents. And we go over for dinner. His family's so nice. I'm like, why were you hiding them from me? Your family's great. And his mom for dinner made us like some salmon and rice and broccoli. And he like threw a huge fit. He's like, Mom, you know I hate broccoli. I can't eat this. And refused to eat the broccoli. I was like, okay, like whatever. I know he hates vegetables. I wouldn't have put it on his plate. His mom should have known better, okay? Until we were all done with our food. He only had 9 pieces of broccoli left on his plate. And his mom comes over and is like, you have to eat your vegetables. So she takes the broccoli one by one on the fork and goes, here comes a choo-choo train, chugga chugga choo-choo, and puts it in his mouth every single time. One time she said, here comes the airplane, and he ate it. This man was 23 years old, by the way. And at the end, he said, thank you, Mommy. And then he was driving me home and said, that's the only way I'll eat vegetables if we're gonna get married. And then I never talked to him again.
This is the story of how I got catfished. So I'm on Tinder. I'm 18. Says it all. So I've been talking to this guy for a while. In his bio, he has things like, I'm a mechanic. I can't actually remember if that's what he did. But for the sake of this video, he's a mechanic. So I'm a mechanic. I'm 6'4". I love animals. I have a pet dog. Things like that. We're talking for a couple of weeks. He doesn't live far from me. So we decide to go to our local Nando's. Keep it calm, keep it casual. He's getting the train in, I'm getting the bus in. The train stop is like this end of the high street, and my bus is coming in at the bottom of the high street. So we decide to walk up and meet halfway. I'm walking up the high street. He texted me like, oh, I think I can see you. So I look up, I can see him in the distance, right? He told me what outfit he was wearing. I can see him in the distance. He looked really, really small, tiny. But I'm thinking, well, it's because he's far away. Like, the closer he'll get, the bigger he'll get. He was my height. I'm 5'3". He said he was 6'4" in his bio. How can you lie about your height when there's over a foot difference? I know guys do it where they're like 5'11" and they say they're 6 foot, or they're 5'9" and they say they're 5'10", that's fine. You can't say you're 6'4" and be 5'3". Height isn't even like this massive deal to me. Ideally, yes, I want a guy over 6 foot because it makes me feel cute and protected. But at the end of the day, if I really like someone, your height is not going to put me off. If I like you, I like you. But you can't lie about your height like that. If this ever happened to me now, I'd confront it straight away. Straight away, I would be like, why have you lied about your height? Like, you know I'm gonna know. You know I'm gonna see it. But 18-year-old Slaney, 18-year-old Slaney, pretended like nothing had happened. I have dyscalculia and he knew that, so maybe he thought he could trick me. Because people with dyscalculia commonly cannot tell distances and heights. But I can tell the difference between 5'3" and 6'4". I can tell there's a difference. Anyway, turned out to be the worst date of my life. And not because of his height. Comment for part 2. Oh. There are about 5 or 6 things that happened that... What the hell? 5 or 6 things that happened that I should have just walked out. But I had no confidence. Me now, if a date is bad, I'm gone straight away. I'll just get up and walk out. I won't even explain why. But 18-year-old me... She tolerated a lot. Too much. I tolerated too much. Comment if you want to know why this was the worst date of my life. Okay, the worst date I've ever been on. I can't even remember if I gave this guy a fake name, so we're going to call him Peter. Flipping Peter. So I've ignored the fact that he lied about his height. My mistake number 1. We go into Nando's. We're shown our seats by a lovely little waitress. As soon as we sit down and this waitress is out of earshot, he says, she was hot. She was hot. Don't do that. When you're on a date, you don't do that. You just don't. My eyes look massive with this eyeliner. So he's just told me someone else is hot and I'm like, right, okay. But in my head, I'm like gaslighting myself thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm just insecure. Maybe that's why I don't want to hear it. Maybe it's me. Wasn't me. We start talking about what we want to order. I'm a basic bitch, always gets the same thing. Double chicken wrap with halloumi, lemon and herb. I don't like spice. I can't handle it. I'm white. We then go up to the counter and order our food. He orders way more than me, but that's fine. He's a growing lad. We then sit back down. He's chatting about himself for like 20 minutes, which is fine. Listen, I'm more of a listener than a talker. I much prefer listening to people than talking about myself. Unless it's TikTok, then it's all about me. But in real life, I'm definitely a listener. He's going on about himself, not asking anything about me, but I'm like, okay, some people are just like that, it's fine. And then we're talking, and you know when you can tell that someone isn't looking at you anymore? They're looking past you. They're looking over your shoulder. He's looking over my shoulder, so I'm getting a bit paranoid, so I turn around to see what he's looking at. And it's a group of girls. My man went, you know that blonde one? And I look again, but like they're all blonde. So I'm like, yeah, like I don't even care which one he's talking about. I just want to know what he's going to say. Yeah, that blonde one, I f***ed her. Okay. Why would you tell me that? Like, listen, not on a first date. And not like that. It's the way, like, it was such disrespect at, like, I f***ed it. Like, I can't stand that kind of thing. Like, if I had sex with a guy and he wants to tell someone about it, you better say we had sex. Not, oh, her. Listen, I f*** you. That girl probably f*** you. You probably lay there doing nothing. So I'm sort of there like speechless. Like, I don't know if it's a joke. Like, I'm waiting for him to start laughing and telling me it's a joke. When he sees my face, he meant, oh, but not to make you feel bad. The fuck do you mean? Are you talking about not making me feel bad? I should have left. If that ever again, ugh, I hate myself. I hate the old version of me. I hate Lauren. Right, I'm Slaney now. That was Lauren. Lauren stayed. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney would have left. Lauren stayed. He then finally, right, so we've got past that. He then asked me about my job. I worked in planning permission at the time. I get that it's a boring job. It was very boring. But as I'm explaining like what I would actually do in planning permission, he went like that, held up his finger to me, and he's like, I've just got to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, fine, interrupt me, fine. It was like 10 minutes. The food arrived. The food arrived while he was in the bathroom. So at this point, I'm thinking like, what the fuck he doing in there? What is he doing? Like, I know what he's doing in there, but I was wrong. What I thought he was doing, I wish he was doing. Because when he came and sat down, on my life, powder all over his little nostril. I did the little, you know that little sarcastic, like, you've got something there. My man went, oh. He snorted it. Now I'm texting my friends, right? Now I don't even care about the food anymore. I'm not even hungry anymore. I'm texting my friends, text me with an emergency. He then starts looking around the table and he's like, they forgot my rice. This stupid waitress forgot my rice. I don't like people who talk about waitresses like that, or waiters, like whoever. So the waitress walks by, so he calls her over. He tells her about the rice fiasco. She goes back to the counter, she comes back and she's like, oh, it wasn't even included in your order. You didn't even ask for rice. I don't remember whether he did or didn't, but it wasn't on the receipt. So she goes off and she's like, do you want me to put this rice order in? He's like, no, I'll do it myself. She goes off. Why did Peter think it would be okay to scrabble through his wallet for like a £5 note, chuck it at me and ask me to get it? Don't chuck money at me. And if you are going to chuck money at me, make sure it's $1 million. Don't chuck a £5 at me. I left at that point. I very discreetly put my clutch under my arm, took his £5 and said, yeah, I'll go get the rice. And then I just walked out. I didn't make a scene. He thought I was going to get his rice. He thought I was actually going to go get his rice. Walked out and then spent it getting a cab home. And the most upsetting part about it is I'd only eaten half my wrap. I didn't even finish my wrap. I should have finished my wrap and then walked out. At least he paid for it all though. That's the cost of wasting my time. It actually makes me sick. Sick that I didn't walk out. I should have left as soon as he lied about his height, because if you can lie about your height, what else are you capable of lying about? And as I walked out of that restaurant, I was blocking his number. I deleted my whole Tinder account. I was done with Tinder at that point. Blocked his number and blocked his Instagram. And a couple of years later, I was walking down the high street, because I was still living in the same area then. I was walking down the high street and I saw him. Imagine I ran behind a tree.
Hi guys, happy Saturday. I just want to make a quick little video about awareness and the dangers of actually meeting people you don't know. I had Tinder, and a lot of you know Tinder's a dating app, to try and find like some friends, or you know, maybe a decent guy, because I got really desperate, couldn't find anyone in my town, so I thought, you know what, I'll get Tinder, I'll see what happens. I agreed to meet a guy at a pub here where I live. I was actually across the road at the hairdressers, so I could see when he got there because I was across the road. I seen him pull up an hour early. He kept getting in and out of his car really frustrated, like he was in, then he was out, then he was in, then he went in the pub, then he come out, was acting like sort of suspicious. He had something on a belt. I could be wrong, but like it looked like some sort of like pocket knife or something. And he pulled his shirt over it, so I couldn't see what it was, and obviously I couldn't see that far anyway, but it sort of looked suspicious. So I blocked him. I thought, I'm not going over there. He doesn't even look anything like his photos on Tinder. So I was sort of creeped out by that. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going over there. So I blocked him. And then when I left the hairdressers, like an hour after the time we were meant to meet there, he was still there. And it's nearly like he was stalking and somehow knew I was across the road. He was in his car, hanging out the window across the road. I was in my car at the time. I didn't take off until I seen him drive through the lights. He was waiting down the road for me because I had to go that way. He full on stopped. There was no cars in front of him. Stopped in the middle of the road. It was double lane road. And was hanging out the window, waving his hands around. And then he got in front of me and tried to put his brakes on, like slammed his brakes in front of me, trying to make me hit him or trap my car or something. I was quite scared at that point. And then he went up on the nature strip next to me, the other side of my car. And I thought, oh my God, he's gonna hit my car. He's gonna come onto my car, because he was in a much bigger car than mine. He was in a full wheel drive sort of thing. It had a bull bar, was huge compared to my car. So it was quite intimidating. And then he just like drove off, like through, there was like a dirt paddock there, and he drove through the dirt paddock and left. I was so scared. I was thinking, oh my God, is he going to follow me home? Like, he full on had road rage with me and was hanging out the window. Like, if you're going to meet someone on Tinder, make sure you go to a public place first. And if they don't look like the person on Tinder, like if their photos are completely different to what they look like, don't meet them. So yeah, girls and guys, anyone that has Tinder or a dating app, be careful, because you don't know who these people are. Like, a lot of the time they're on there and they're single for a reason. Like, sometimes you can find decent people on there, sometimes there's lovely people on Tinder, but just be careful. Be very, very careful with who you trust and who you see, because it's very easy to get to people that are crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video now. Bye guys.
A year ago today, I almost got arrested on a first date. This story's just been traveling word of mouth up until now, but I think after a year of processing what happened, I'm finally ready to share. So interestingly enough, how I met this guy was through church, and he was highly recommended to me throughout several people in our town. Before I met him, he was marketed to me as new kid in town, college football player, super hardworking, great Christian guy. Everyone thought that we would be a perfect match. I ended up meeting him in public after he was marketed to me, and I would not say that we hit it off, but he invited me to go to his Bible study. Well, I couldn't make it to his Bible study, but I just said like, oh, maybe I'll see you there, I don't know. But I ended up having something else to do, and I knew that the whole time. Well, then a week goes by and I get a DM on Instagram, and it is from him telling me again that I should come to his Bible study, and this is the next Sunday. I don't have anything to do, so I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go. So I go, we don't really talk that much. I had to leave to go to my church after the fact, so that was the end of that. Well, he ends up DMing me on Instagram saying thanks for coming and that he wanted to hang out sometime. I'm not gonna lie, I sort of was pushing hanging out, because when I got there, he was teaching the class, and I always thought that that's what I wanted, was like a youth pastor kind of guy, I thought. Well, long story short, we hung out a few times casually over about a week or two before the first date where the arrest almost happened. We did things like get ice cream. I went to his house for dinner one night, thinking that it was supposed to be for networking purposes, because at this time I was looking for a job, and it ended up seeming like a meet the girlfriend type of dinner, but I didn't really care. They were making milkshakes. I was honestly having a good time. So he tells me that he wants to take me on a date and treat me like the queen that I am. Now, I know that's icky, and I know I should have known right then and there that that's not normal, but personally, I think of myself as a queen, you know, but in the cringy, it is cringy that I think that too, so, you know, check myself there. And also, I just gotten out of a relationship with someone else where he did not treat me like a queen, so I was like, you know what, I'll give this a try. I'll just give it a try. So the date starts by him coming to church with my family. After church, I have 1 hour on our itinerary of everything they're going to do for the date. I have 1 hour to go home and kind of debrief. At this point, I'm not wanting to go on the date anymore. He has icked me out. He had shown up to my work. Like, I'm not answering the phone. He shows up to my work. I told him, you know, I'd let him know if we were going to hang out later. And then I said later, oh, I'm going to sleep. He shows up to my work the next day and says, I was up all night waiting for you to text me if you were going to hang out or not. Like, you need to be better at communicating if things are going to work between us. So the red flags are already there, but he's hyped up this very grandiose date that I have to take part in. Like, I just really had to see what this man was about to do. So it starts with us going to church with my family. He invited himself with us. I have about 1 hour in between, according to the itinerary, to go home, and basically what I had to do was prepare myself to go on this date. I did not want to go, but I felt so bad to cancel, so I went. He picks me up, we pray in the car before we leave. First stop is McDonald's, because he said that my family did not let him finish his food at lunch. We were at lunch for 2 hours. He got chicken fingers, and the reason that he didn't finish his food is, I swear, he didn't take a breath. He didn't stop talking about how he is so mature. He's this and that. He's gonna do this and that the whole time. Nobody got a word in. And then after he got McDonald's, he got 2 cheeseburgers, and he starts choking on the pickle. And I know that I should feel sympathy for that, but I was really, really icked out at that point, and I really wanted to go home. But the date had just begun. Next stop, Krispy Kreme. He's complaining. He gets us 6 donuts, and he is complaining about how much those 6 donuts cost. Before we went on the date, he told me, you know, don't even bring my wallet. He's paying for everything, you know, treating me like the queen I am. So I just think it's really rude if you ask someone on a date and you're complaining about how much it costs. That's like, I don't want to be there then if I'm such a burden to you. Next stop, he knows that I don't like coffee, is Starbucks. And we are going in there and we get water to do a Bible study. We've prayed probably 3 times by this point on the date. And yeah, we spent an hour in there doing a little devotional together. Now he says the fancy restaurant that he had in mind for us to go eat was Texas Roadhouse. The place with the peanuts on the floor. But he's been planning this date for a week, and he didn't know that the town we went to, there wasn't a Texas Roadhouse. And before the Starbucks, actually we went to the mall for the shopping part of the date. I'm assuming don't bring any money, blah, 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 like maybe he's gonna buy me a dress or something. Nope, he tells me that he wants me to point out things that he would look good in and that he's not buying anything today. Well, I studied fashion in college, and I would say I'm pretty stylish. everything that I just went along with it. At this point, I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go along with it. I was like, well, this is cute. And he's like, no, it's not. Oh my God, no, it's not. Like, you have no style. That's why we're here. Look, and like, I need to calm down because we're not even at the peak, not even close to the peak. So he's looking up, freaking out, what restaurant are we gonna go to now? Or, you know, his notes app is of what to do, exactly what to do is off. So he's like, well, there's a Mexican restaurant over here. I say, I would love Mexican. That's exactly what I want. Let's go there. So when we sit down, he says almost immediately that his family likes to do affirmations. They, at dinner, go around the table and give each other positive affirmations. My family does not do that, and I am not upset by that at all. So basically, for the entirety of the dinner, he is just hyping me up. He's just giving me these affirmations. And this man does not know me, but I was like, whatever, I'm here. I'm just gonna eat my food and I'm just gonna take all this in. I'm just gonna let him hype me up. Like, what else am I gonna do? Well, I wasn't expecting him to hit me with a, okay, now do me. Almost choked on my food. I started trying to remix some of the things that he said. I don't even know. I blacked out. And then I'm like, he asked the waiter for a box and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. Well, I had been on my phone all day long because this date's been going on. It's probably like 6 p.m. now or 7. And I'm in the bathroom for at least 10 minutes, texting everyone back, saying, oh my God, this is the longest date ever. I think I'm about to come home, blah, blah, blah. Well, about 10 minutes go by. I'm like, okay, I probably need to go back out there. When I get back, he's holding his box. He says, are you ready to go? I say, yep, let's go. So it luckily started raining, so we just headed home. Well, now at this point, he says it's time for us to share our testimonies with each other. I won't share too much into that, but basically he slut-shamed me for having sex at 24 years old. He didn't just slut-shame me. He almost started crying and breathing heavily, saying, I can forgive you. I can get through this. It's gonna be okay. And I'm like, I do not need your forgiveness. I am okay. I'm not gonna let you ruin a happy, good memory for me. Basically, he found out from me saying, you know, my last relationship was not the most Christian of relationships. It wasn't like I'm out here saying, you know, I'm banging everybody in town. So I'm like, take me home right now. Well, it's raining, it's dark out, and I'm just like disassociated. And I realize almost right before we get to my house that we've been dead silent this whole time, and I accidentally busted out laughing. Well, then obviously he looks at me and I'm like, oh, my bad. I just was laughing. Oh, well, he's not laughing. Next thing I know, he starts beating on the steering wheel. This sucks! This sucks! This sucks! Then he looked at me with the craziest eyes I've ever seen and said, you know what? And I said, what? He said, the devil's gonna use this against us. The devil's gonna use this to tear us apart. And then he wiped his tears. I do the only thing to do after something like that. Well, first he hugs me, kind of won't let me go in the car, prays about my premarital sex, and then I go inside and cry and sit in a dark room for the next 24 hours. Well, that night, The Bachelorette's coming on, and I'm starting to feel more back to myself. I'm in my peace and quiet in a dark room watching The Bachelorette. I mean, that is my me time. Well, during a commercial, I'm scrolling on Facebook, and I see, me and him. It was a picture of us leaving the restaurant that the restaurant had posted. And the caption was, the USA might be free, but this restaurant isn't. 4th of July Dine and Dash edition. It had 148 shares, and it had comments like, I hope they get diarrhea, scum of the earth, making fun of the way we looked. It was horrible. I call the restaurant, crying. They feel bad for me, take the picture down. They said they got 70 new followers from that. I'm like, congratulations. I text him a screenshot of the picture. He says he forgot to pay. And that's not even the worst part. Comment if you want a part 2 that will tell you why my family had to change the code to our door and I moved out of the country. I almost got arrested on a first date a year ago, part 2. I would just like to start by saying that if he happens to come across these videos, then have fun feeling the same shock that I felt when I saw our picture on Facebook, dining and dashing. Also, if you're wondering why I'm so dressed up, I'm about to go to a concert. And also, if you're wondering why part 2 took so long, I've had a lot going on. So sorry. So let's get into the tea. But first, if you haven't watched part 1, go watch that now. So where I left off on part 1 was that after he cried about my premarital sex, I then find out the next day on Facebook that he did not pay for our food on our date. So that's what I'm referring to by almost got arrested, because we stole the food. I did not know we were stealing the food. Obviously, he said at the time that he didn't know that he was stealing the food. But if you wait a little bit more into the story, that's not so true. So immediately after I see the post, I call the restaurant crying, and they actually felt bad for me, and they were just as concerned, if not more, than y'all are, and wanted to be assured that there was not going to be a second date. There was, of course, not a second date, and I didn't hear much from him, if anything at all, just a few phone calls that I ignored. I saw the post on Monday night, and Friday afternoon, I'm at work, when someone walks in with a huge arrangement of flowers. As soon as I see it, I immediately start shaking. I work in retail, so my schedule is really crazy. It's different every week. So 1, how did he know that I was even at work? And 2, it wasn't just an arrangement of flowers. Inside the arrangement contained an envelope. Inside the envelope was a 2-page typed letter and $40. The $40 was to repay me for the meal that he stole that cost $60. Now, I feel like reading the letter is going a little bit too far, but if this post gets 100,000 likes, then I guess I'll have to share it with y'all. The basis of the letter was him apologizing for his careless words, his reaction to my premarital sex. 1.5 pages revolving around my premarital sex. And then at the end of the letter, it was signed, and then there was a PS. The PS said, "I was embarrassed by the events of Monday night. Please allow me to repay you. Thank you for handling an awkward situation with such grace." I handled it with grace for a year. That night, I discussed with my family on what I should do now because I was genuinely freaked out at this point. And this is where changing the code to our doors comes in. After I saw the post on Facebook, my whole family sat around in the living room trying to figure out how we didn't see this coming. And the more we talked about it, the more and more red flags we started to realize. So one night before the date happened, I was having some friends over to watch The Bachelor. First red flag, every time that someone on the screen would start kissing, which is very often on The Bachelor, he would cover his eyes. The next red flag is that my sister brought to our attention that when he was there that night, he tried to feed our dog chocolate. And next was that my sister said he was telling her how he thinks that everyone should own a gun and carry one with them at all times. And that night, when he came to watch The Bachelor, he had a huge book bag with him that I have no idea what was inside. And next, we're getting to the part where I moved out of the country. Guilty, not out of the country, out of the continental United States to Hawaii. Right before this happened, I was offered a dream job in Hawaii. When he found out that I was offered that job, he started thinking about how he could move to Hawaii. Luckily, I'm here and he's not. I'm mainly posting all of this, not just because it was very traumatic for me and it's kind of funny and it's crazy, but to bring awareness to other women who are dating right now that you have to be more careful, you can't be so nice and trusting, unfortunately. So where are we at today in this story? Well, initially I just unfollowed him on Instagram and he unfollowed me. I ended up going back home for a little bit and I noticed that he was watching my Instagram stories. How he knew I was posting Instagram stories when he didn't follow me, I don't know. At the time, I felt like it was best not to block him because maybe if he could see me online, then he wouldn't try to find me in person. I was genuinely worried that he would try to find me in person. Right after the fact, the flower situation, he would walk past my work almost every day on his way to the gym and stare in the window. So I really didn't want to do anything to ruffle his feathers like block him. Well, I end up, of course, running into him in public. I just ignored him as best as I could, and later that night, guess who followed me on Instagram? He did. So at that point, I finally blocked him. Not just because that's weird he even tried to follow me on Instagram again, but because after the party a year ago all went down, I sent him a text saying, because he kept trying to call me after he sent me the flowers, and I sent him a text saying, after the way that the date went, the dining and dashing, and the creepy letter, I am very uncomfortable, do not respond to this text, and do not reach out to me again. He never reached out to me again other than walking past my work until that follow almost a year later on Instagram. I also have no problem sharing this story on the internet at this point because I have heard from multiple sources that he is going around telling people that he works with that he did it on purpose and that he thinks it's funny. And long story short, he was right. I guess the devil did tear us apart. I hope y'all found the story funny too. I hope it brought awareness to all the women out there dating to be more careful. If you like this story, give me a follow. I have plenty more where that came from, including a story that I can't share until the lawsuit is settled. So go ahead and give me a follow, and thank y'all so much for being so supportive of me. I am okay, I am in therapy, and I highly, highly, highly recommend therapy for anyone that has access to it.
I called online dating quits after my final experience. I was online dating and I matched with this guy. And he was well over in his 50s, his late 50s. And he asked me out for coffee. I said, "Oh, sir, I don't do coffee. I only do dinner dates." And he said, "Oh, well, I only do coffee dates. I don't do dinner dates." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I don't think we're a match because coffee dates, from my experience, are a waste of time. Most people get coffee and they want to rush back off to work, which is reasonable because you're enjoying coffee sometime in the morning and you got to get back to work." And he goes, "Well, that's what I prefer." I said, "That's awesome." I said, "You got to understand, you're in your 50s. I'm just in my early 30s. I said, "I'm not interested in going to coffee with an older man." And he said, "Well, I'm not interested and going to coffee with a woman who doesn't have a career, etc. So I make sure I just do coffee so I can fill you out, so I can see that you have a career, you have your own thing going for you. And I said, okay, what is the benefit of me going to coffee with you when I can go to coffee with a man my age? And he goes, well, it's not about the money. I said, exactly. It's not about the money. So that's why I would like to go for dinner. But we are clearly not a match. But thanks for your time. He didn't stop there. He proceeded to call me a gold digger because I wanted to go for dinner. And my preference was dinner dates. Well, after explaining why I don't do coffee dates. And so I was polite, but at that point I said, you know what? I'm taking the polite hat off. Sir, you are 58 years old. You want to date someone who's 32 years old. I said, sir, wake up. No woman in her 30s wants to go to coffee with you. I said, if you're broke, just say that. And he said, you know what? I'm not broke. And he went on this whole spree of how he has so much money. Sir, you have so much money, but you want to save money on dates and take women for coffee. For what purpose? And he proceeds to say, well, I have certain standards for my woman. And I said, that's absolutely amazing. Maybe you should try dating a woman who is your age. Go to coffee with a 58-year-old woman. Oh, you don't do it, sir? Because you can't fool them. They're not going to go to coffee with you because it's a waste of time.
Okay, this guy asked me to send him my location before leaving. Live location I did. I thought he was gonna track it, so like when I arrive, he's gonna be by the door waiting for me, to receive me and all of that, since he didn't have to pick me up or send a taxi. I arrive and I had to text him like, where are you? How do I find you? Then he sent me a picture 5 minutes later of where he's seated so I could find him. I see this guy wearing shorts, just a normal collared shirt and slippers. One thing I do not tolerate on first dates is convenience, like the zero effort. And the mistake I made is I didn't ask this guy, how long have you been in Dubai for? I know it's a question I don't like people asking me, but at this point I had to ask. And he's like, oh, I've been here for over 15 years. And in my head, I'm like, this is not gonna work. It is not gonna work. Straight into the conversation, he's telling me about his 3 kids. He's showing me pictures. Now, time to eat. He's like, oh, we're not gonna eat today. We're just doing drinks because we're getting to know each other, So what beer do you want? And I'm like, no, I don't drink beer. I'm even actually on an alcohol break, so I'll go for like a mojito. And he goes, okay, so he orders his beer and I order my mocktail and we're having conversations. He was trying to touch me and I'm like, I don't allow this on the first date, so please keep your hands to yourself. Thank you very much. The fact that I had to even tell him, it was already off. The conversation was so dead. We were done with the first drinks. We're gonna order the second drink. The waitress comes, she recommends something for me. I go for like a Red Bull and some mixture, and he goes for his second glass of beer. And the waitress was like, would you guys like to have like a starter or bites with whatever drink you're having? And he takes the menu from her, he closed it and he tossed it to the other part of the table. He's like, no, we're just doing drinks, please take it away from here. That was so, and the fact that he did not even ask me. Like, usually you should turn around and ask your guest, do you want something? He didn't ask me. He just said, no, we're not drinking, we're not doing anything. He closes the menu and tosses it over. At that point in my head, I'm like, no, this date is, I'm never seeing this guy again. The next thing he does, his friend calls him, he picks up the phone, and he was giving the guy the direction to come with us. And I was like, are you expecting someone? And he's like, oh yeah, his friend.
Dating in Dubai Horror Story Part 2.
The next thing he does, his friend calls him, he picks up the phone, and he was giving the guy the direction to come with us. And I was like, are you expecting someone? And he's like, oh yeah, his friend is probably just bought a home and he'd like to join us. And I'm like, you didn't tell me, you didn't ask me, you just assume that's okay? I told him I wanted to go pee, but that was actually where I wanted to disappear from. But like the toilet was straight right in front of us. There's no way I'll just get up and walk away. I was just looking for the perfect excuse. I go use the washroom. 5 minutes, his friend was already there. I was like, where was this guy when he even called? Okay, I come back, shake the friend. Hi, nice to meet you. The friend is like, oh, it's amazing to meet you. I've heard so much about you. And straight up, man, I told him, no, you've not. I'm just meeting him for the first time, and he surely haven't said anything about me to you. And the guy, the date, was like, oh, bro, you up. I didn't tell you anything about her. I'm just meeting her today for the first time. I was disgusted. I just grabbed my bag and I'm like, yo, I gotta go train now. You know, I skipped the gym to come spend time with you, but I gotta go now. And they wanted to start creating conversations. I was like, I'm gonna go. I came out from the bathroom. I haven't even sat down. And I was like, you know what? I think I'll just go from here. And they were like, oh, you know, the night is still young. We're just getting started. And I'm like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go to the gym actually. And he stretches his hand to shake me. I was like, you know what? There's no need actually. Then I was walking away. He's like, oh, come here, give me a hug. He hugs me with one hand and then bends over to kiss me. I'm like, what is wrong with you? At this point, I couldn't hide my disgust. I was like, what is wrong with you? Ah, gosh, Dubai. It's crazy. Where do they make this, man?
Back from a date, and I have to share. I think I'm done with dating. I can't. I think I finally understand why people settle, because this is so horrible and miserable. I just... like, what? Okay, so I went on a date tonight. This guy and I have been talking. He's like, let's do dinner. I'm like, beautiful, let's do dinner. I go to dinner and whatever. You know, you get to a date and you instantly within 3 seconds you're like, no, this is not it. That was it. Good looking guy, nothing about that. It's more of just like, you just don't vibe, right? And like, whatever. I'm like, you know what, Vanessa, like, give the guy a chance. Let's see how this goes. Whatever. Honestly, the date was fine. The interesting part, though, is so we don't order till really late. We're having a drink. We're talking. We have the food. I barely eat. At this point, I'm like, it's so late. I'm not even like wanting to eat. I'm not hungry. Blah blah. We already had ordered food, but he was like, I really want the chicken. I was like, you know what, dude, like, get the chicken. Like, I'm not hungry, but like, get the chicken. Like, good for you, get it. Like, okay, great. Now the chicken is here, and it's this full meal that neither one of us is gonna eat. I don't touch it for like 10 minutes. He's like, oh, like, are you gonna eat that? I was like, no, like, I'm so full, like, please have it. Fast forward, I am like waiting for the waitress to come. I'm like, just bring us the check. I am so done. I need to go home. I'm exhausted. I have nothing left to say. Like, at this point, I am overhearing the conversation next door because they're speaking in Spanish. I'm like, ¿qué? That's how bored I am right now. But mind you, I'm like trying to be nice and like have a good time, but I really want the waitress to come. She picks everything up and I'm like, you know what? Like, he didn't finish the chicken. Of course, because how much food had we ordered and none of us were hungry, or neither one of us were hungry. I'm like, you know what though? Like, you should take the chicken home, like, for sure. Enjoy, sir, enjoy. Okay. But in my head, I'm like, he literally, I've barely eaten. I ate like 2 appetizers. Half of like the 2 or 3 appetizers that we ordered. Like, that's all I've eaten. And he like had this full chicken, right? So the check comes and he just lets it sit there, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I hate seeing a check sit there, because it's just like, so are you paying? Am I paying? Like, what's happening? Like, you're obviously not grabbing it. So, and I'm trying, again, we're trying to leave. So I grab my credit card and I just put it down, me thinking that this man is going to put his credit card down. He grabs the check and he goes, you sure you don't want to just split it? Like, let's just split it. You know, I had more food than you. And in my head, I'm like, where did you think we weren't splitting it at this point? Like, I put my credit card, if I put my credit card down on a first date, there's not a second, I want to leave, let's go. Like, yes, we're splitting it, let's go. I was like, no, yeah, let's split it. Like, yeah. So he puts his credit card down, but also, sir, you ate most of the food you're taking home. And not only what he was taking home the chicken, he's like, actually, I'll take home the rest of the salad. Like, man has an entire lunch or dinner for tomorrow. I just paid for his dinner tomorrow, apparently. And also, if you're asking me on a first date, what to dinner, your idea to go to dinner, have the decency to like treat a girl at least to the first date. Like, and again, I know people are going to come out after me and be like, she just wants to get free food. No, I really don't. I sat down and I was like, this is why I don't do dinner for first dates. I would much rather be at home eating by myself a home cooked meal. I'd be much happier than what I was for the whole night. He's like, oh, how are you getting home? Are you going to take the train? And I'm like, no, it's 11:20. Like, I'm not taking the train. Like, a woman in New York City taking the train at 11:20 on a Tuesday when no one's out? Absolutely. Again, teach their own. For me, absolutely not. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to take an Uber. He's like, oh, like, I mean, I'm actually only 5 stops away, so I'm just going to take the train. And I'm like, so not only am I splitting this dinner with you, you also chose a location that was significantly closer to your house. I am on the Upper West Side. I live in the East Village. So not only did I have to pay for this man's meal, but also for an entire expensive Uber ride home. So, you know, $110 later, here we are telling strangers that I am done dating. Except I realized on my way home that I already agreed to a date on Thursday and a different date on Friday. Why? I have no idea. I might as well just cancel at this point.
You're not going to believe this. Even I don't. The part I don't believe is that I found myself in that situation. Here it is. Date number 2 with the gentleman. First date, he lives about an hour away, drives up here. We go out to a nice lunch, early dinner, 4 o'clock. So an early dinner. We had a nice time and a okay conversation. Nothing really exciting, but he didn't ask any questions about me. He told me a couple of things about himself, but he was perfectly fine, not saying anything, just eating, and then he wanted to come back to my house. He wanted to see where I lived. So we did come back to my house. We sat on my patio, and he didn't like the outside. He wanted to hang around inside, and I go home, so I graciously sent him home. Date number 2, he calls me and says, I'd like to see you tomorrow. Are you gonna, is that all right? I said, oh, well, I can shuffle my schedule around and I'll take the afternoon off from work. I don't get a lot of time off, okay? So I did that. And I said to him, hey, there's a big event going on that's going to be really great here in my town. Would you like to go? I was actually going to buy the tickets. They were very expensive too. And he said, oh no, I don't really feel like that. It'd be much too late. It'd be much too late when I get there for that. I said, oh, okay. Okay. All right. He got here in plenty of time to go to this event, hours before this event. And he got here and he wanted to hang around my house. And I said something about maybe go getting a bite to eat. And he said, well, I'm not really hungry yet. And so I thought, oh, okay. Reasonable enough. So he makes himself at home on my sofa. He's got my remote control, 84-inch TV, Roku. He's sitting here playing, having himself good times, feet up on my coffee table. And I just thought, he puts on some old cowboy movie. And I thought, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. What's up with that? So I thought, okay, well, I really don't know how to bring up this conversation. Like, hey, I really don't want to watch that. I'm not even the least bit interested. So I piddled and puttered around my house doing things. He had gotten up at some point and gone to his car to, get his phone charger or plug something. I don't know. I was busy taking care of my household little projects that I hadn't had time to take care of now that I got an afternoon off. A little while later, I said, well, so I bring it up again. Let's go do something. Oh, I don't really feel like I just want to relax today. Well, in my head, the voice was screaming, go home and relax. Get off my damn sofa. But I didn't. My politeness kind of kicked in, took over. I don't know why. That little thing on my shoulder is always making me be polite because I don't feel like that. So that goes on. Another movie. I thought, what the I putter around a little further, and I noticed that in my guest bathroom that something's different in there, but I don't know what. And okay. So because I'm putting around the house, putting things away and, cleaning up, folding some laundry. I'm killing time here at my house, feeling awkward in my own house, feeling unwelcomed and out of place in my own house that I pay all the bills to. I pulled myself together, thought I'm overreacting. It's all in my head. I go in my ensuite, my bathroom in my private bedroom, and I notice there is a toothbrush and an extra bar of soap in my bathroom on the counter. What in the... So I said, is that yours? Knowing it was, Cat didn't bring it in. And he said, oh yeah, he said, I was just going to stay over. He says, long drive. I said, it's only an hour. It's not a long drive. Date number 2. Oh, okay. No, I said, I that's not, no, we're not going to do that. You have wasted my whole afternoon off. I don't get a lot of time off, and I'm offended and put out that you have wasted my whole afternoon off. This is not a date. This is you being a bum. Hanging around my house, soaking up my air conditioning, playing with my Roku 84-inch TV and watching my streaming channels and eating snacks and just hanging out, helping yourself in my fridge. Drank my last beer. I had one little beer in the fridge, just one. It'd been there for, I don't know, a few days, a week, a month, who knows. But got in the fridge, opened that beer and told me, you're out of beer. When he had said it earlier in the day, I didn't say it. I just thought, who in the F is he talking to? I'm out of beer. Like I was supposed to. I'd had all the acting polite that I could take, and I just let him have it. I said, you're rude. You don't have any dating etiquette. You don't have any house manners. And you don't. He said, I've got a good job, and what does that got to do with me? I got a good job too. Was that? You have a job? That's what you got to offer, fool. Do you see this beautiful home and all these pretty things in it? Guess who provides them? Me. I got a job. Get the hell out of my house. Go home. Y'all, I'm going to be single forever. I am just sure of it. Y'all that are married, keep in mind all the good ones are married. Y'all take good care of them, okay? Congratulations. Take good care of them. But we who threw some out, we should not have thrown them out with the trash. No. We should have taken them down to the garbage incinerator and tossed them in there so that our counterparts wouldn't have to be doing this in the dating pool. I'm going to be single forever. It's a good thing I like myself. It's a good thing I enjoy my own company because I'm going to be single forever.
Over an hour late, 2-hour date. I should have known then to just cancel it because you're not respecting my time. However, I overlooked it because I'm like, oh my God, I've known this person since high school, and he's communicating with me, letting me know like, hey, I'm going to be, this amount of minutes late. Like, he's calling me, texting me, letting me know what's up because there's traffic. We live here in LA. Happens, he's coming off work, whatever. So I was cool with it. I was like, all right, cool, you're being communicative, like I'll still continue the date. He comes to pick me up over an hour late, and when I get in the car, we hug. Hey, nice to see you, haven't seen you in a while, like, good to see you, right? And then I let him know, like, hey, like, you're an hour late, like, next time, like, please don't show up so late because like I won't like go on a date. Like, I was being firm, I wasn't being a bitch, I wasn't being condescending, I wasn't yelling, I wasn't being aggressive, none of that. I was just letting him know, like, hey, I'm a very punctual person, my time is valuable to me, and if you're gonna tell me you're gonna be here at 6 o'clock, don't show up past 6. Okay, don't show up at especially 7 o'clock an hour later. And do you know that this man turned his car around? It's like, I'm taking you back home. Like, who do you think you are telling me that I can't be late picking you up to a date? I drove 30 minutes to pick you up and I paid for these tickets and blah, 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 blah. And who do you think you are? Who the do I think I am, sir? Like, this is why they warn you, don't ever date the person that has chased you for a long time, that has wanted you for a long time, because they're usually crazy. I jumped out of a halfway moving car tonight because I could not get away from this man fast enough. And I left his door wide the open and he like busts a bitch in the middle of the street and like peels off. What the is wrong with you men? Are you seriously mad because someone told you don't be an hour late to picking them up? The woman that you've been chasing for over 20 years finally gives you the time of day. I feel like this is one of those moments where he had it in his mind the whole time to play in my face because he wanted to get back at me from 20 years ago or something. Now, mind you, this is not an ex. I've never done anything to this man. I've never slept with him, never kissed him, never like curved him in any type of way, never played with this man's emotions. But I feel like because he didn't have access to me for over 20 years, when he finally got the opportunity, he wanted to like show me who's boss. Okay.
Tinder date from Little Hell story time. He literally sent me abusive messages calling me crazy, saying that I used him and that I was basically nuts for no reason. So I'm 18 on Tinder. Matched with a guy, we're getting along pretty well. He lives really close, so I'm like, why not? Let's catch up. First date was like average, nothing that weird. Although he kept winking at me, being like, haha. And I'd be like, what? And he did it like 5 times. And I was like, hey, can you stop winking at me? I don't know why. Like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And then he's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, all right, whatever. Also, important part of the story, he told me that he was a virgin on our first date. And I said I didn't care, obviously, because why would I care? Anyway, second date. This is where it gets bad. We go bowling. A girl that I know, we're not really friends. We're more like mutual friends. She sees me at bowling and she's like, oh my God, hey, like I'm here with my boyfriend. I'll introduce you to him. She brings over her boyfriend and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Whatever. So the guy that I'm going on a date with, let's call him Bob. So Bob and I are walking out of bowling and he's not speaking to me. And I'm like, Bob, what's wrong? And he's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Kept saying, don't worry about it. And I was like, just tell me. And he was like, well, you could have like introduced me. I've known you for 2 days. I'm not introducing you to my friends or someone that is not even my friend. Honestly, if he said it in a nicer way, I would have just said sorry, but... Anyway, so we're driving home and he's like, Annalise, I have to tell you something. I've lied to you. And I'm like, what have you already lied to me about? I've known you for 2 days. So he pulls over the car dramatically and he's like, obviously I'm not a virgin. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm so embarrassed. Like I went clubbing and I lost my virginity to this like 30-year-old. I'm so embarrassed, so embarrassed. So I was like, okay, that's kind of odd that you lied about that. But anyway, so he's driving me home and he sees a group of people he used to be friends with. So he's like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't invite me. So he parks in front of them and is just spying on them, staring at them whilst I'm in the car. So I'm just sitting in the car like, what is happening right now? Whilst we're in the car, I just wanted to make it very clear with him, like, hey, just letting you know, I'm not interested. I just got out of a relationship. I just got cheated on. You know, just not looking for anything at the moment. So I thought it was very clear that I didn't want to speak to him again. Anyway, drives me home and he's like, I need to ask you something. And I'm like, what do you need to ask me? He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, just tell me. Like, just tell me. I hate beating around the bush. And he was like, when would you be ready to like do stuff with me? What? So I was like, I don't know, like maybe tomorrow, maybe never. I meant never. I get home, I'm barely messaging him because I'm weirded out, confused. He's just kind of rude and odd. I'm still replying here and there just to be nice. Eventually he sends me a paragraph like this bloody big saying that every time he goes on dates with girls, he gets used, that he's such a nice guy, he doesn't know why this happens to him, that I've used him for nights out. Also, I'm pretty sure I paid for the second date, so it was like 50-50 paying for dates. So I didn't use him for anything. And he said that I used him for nights out. And I was like, why would I use you for nights out when I can have nights out with my friends? And then he was like, why would you even go on a date with me if you don't want a relationship? And I was like, look, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just wanted to go on a date, meet a new person. It made me realize, you know, like I'm still in love with my ex, okay? I'm still in love with him. We'd only been broken up for like 3 months, so like kind of valid. And then he was like, you're crazy. Like, I can't believe you've said that. Like, what you're saying is nuts. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just said in the nicest way possible, hey, I'm not interested. Best of luck. I still have feelings for my ex. Sorry. He proceeds for the next... This was in 2019. He proceeds for the next 3 years to message me. Like, every 6 months, yeah, he would message me like, hey, how are you? Or like message me on Instagram and be like, oh my God, hi. And then he would delete the message when I wouldn't reply. Like, sir, it makes sense why this happens to you when you lie about random stuff on first dates. Say that I'm using you for dates when I paid for half the dates. Like, what?
So I met a man in 2020. He was a good man. I love that man. He was totally my type, everything that I was looking for in a partner. So when we met, things were going good, and I'd say we got to about the third date before he ghosted me for like a whole week. He then hits me up and he's like, hey, I am so sorry. I've had a lot going on. I really want you to come over to my house. I want to make this up to you. I want to go out. Just come over. So of course I go, because this is the man of my dreams, and I know he not just gonna do me wrong. Life is busy, of course. So I get to his home. This man's entire face is wrapped up. I'm talking about like from here to here. There's tape all around. I'm like, what happened to you? He's like, oh, I had surgery on my sinuses. And, you know, he's like, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, okay, then why the hell you call me over? So anyways, I'm like, okay, like, do you need me to do anything? He's like, well, I need you to open the door. My friend is here. His friend comes in. Mind you, y'all, there's nothing wrong with the friend. He's like really nice, really respectful. Like, he was over there checking on him because he had just had surgery. We're all three there, you know, chitter-chattering very awkwardly because his friend's like, I don't know this girl. And I'm like, I don't know him. But anyways, he's like, hey, Stace, would you mind going in the kitchen and fixing us some burgers? And let me tell you something. Who don't cook is me. I was like, burgers? And on top of that, I'm in all white. I ain't come over here to do no damn cooking. So I'm like, no, I can't cook no burger. He was like, well, do you mind boiling me an egg? At this point, I'm like, oh, okay, let me boil this egg so I can go. So I'm like, okay, I'll boil you an egg. So I get on Google and see how long to boil a damn egg for. So I go in the kitchen. This is the most complicated damn stove I've ever operated in my life. And I'm like, I'm having a little trouble. So his friend comes in there and helps me turn on the stove. All while he's sitting over here wrapped up looking at me like. So the eggs have boiled and I give him the eggs. And his friend was like, oh, I'm getting ready to go. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go with you, homeboy. And he's like, Stacey, would you mind staying? I'm like, okay, you know, because again, I'm not trying to show out in front of this man company. When his friend leaves, he's like, what type of woman don't know how to cook a burger? You've embarrassed me. I was like, hey, homeboy, I didn't know I was coming over here to cook a meal because I could have ordered something. Like, I'm real good at ordering. He was like, I am extremely embarrassed. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little intense. I'm about to go. Like, I'm leaving. I don't have time for this. I'm gone. And at this point, he stands up and he's like, no, I demand you to stay. I can tell you never dated an alpha male. You don't know how to treat an alpha male. I was like, all right, okay, cool, bye. I'll own it. Y'all, this man's face is bleeding profusely. There is like blood just running down his face, on his shirt. And I'm like, I'm like, hey, he's like, shut up. I'm like, all right, you gonna campaign for the Lord to come get you? Who am I to deny you the election? So at this point, he faints and he falls back into like a little chair. Like, I think he was being dramatic, but whatever. So he falls back and I'm like, I'm not going to touch him because, again, I'm in white. And this was a beautiful white dress. And I'm not about to mess up no white dress for somebody who disrespected me. In high intensity situations, I find myself like I have a delayed reaction to everything. So I'm just standing there waiting for him to come to. When this dude comes to, he was like, would you mind running to Chipotle for me? I'm starving. I was like, okay, I'll go to Chipotle for you. He gives me his debit card and I go to my car and I'm like, you know what? I was disrespected. So I put the debit card on top of his mailbox. I backed out of the driveway. I left and I was back over there 2 weeks later. Yep, sure enough I was. Found out he was polygamous, but that's how that story ends.
In honor of Elise Myers' worst date video being a year old today, I'm gonna tell you about the worst date I've ever been on. So I met this guy. I was probably like 22. I live in LA, so this is in my, you know, rat club era, so don't judge. But I met this guy in the club. So he had been asking me out. I'm like, no. no, Stacey Adams, I will not go out with you. Just kind of judging by what I saw in front of me, it was like, absolutely not. But you know when you're bored and you're just like, whatever, why not? I guess I can go get food. Like, I should have cared. I should have cared because this was a treacherous date. He offers to come pick me up from my house, which I don't like doing by the time I'm 22 and I didn't have rules yet. He's rushing me before he even gets to my house. Well, hurry up. Make sure that you're good. I'm sorry, hurry what up? I will take as long as I need, thank you so much. So he gets to my house in a tizzy because he's so, trying to make this movie and dinner. I'm like, okay, relax. He pulls up to my house in the loudest car I have ever heard in my whole entire life. He did not get out to open my door. Like, what is this, 5th red flag already? He just does the like from in the, just the unlock, Okay, so I'm trying to open the door and it's locked. And I'm like, okay, unlock the door, it's locked. He's locking it, unlocking it. I said, okay, hands up. Unlock the door. What? So I get in the car and he's on the phone. At this point, I'm really over it, but I'm trying to be a good sport. On the phone, talking to his homeboy about nothing. It's not like I'm interrupting a business call or something like that. Like, okay, well, I gotta go, bro. He's like, right. Ain't that right, babe? Yeah. Huh? Sir, I quite literally am never gonna talk to you after this. How do we get to ain't that right, babe? Who are you talking to? So many questions. We're also, as all this is happening, we're going at least 115 miles per hour on the freeway. So I don't know if you think driving fast and on the line of killing me is like, if you think that's attractive to me, but it's not. I'm terrified. I'm holding on to the seat. I'm clearly uncomfortable, and I can't stand when men can't read a room. You know what I mean? Read the room. We haven't said 2 words to each other because you've been on the phone the whole time. Then we pull up to Panera Bread. Yeah, you heard me. Panera Bread. Okay. I was like, okay. Mind you, it's one of those like movie theaters that's attached to like a strip mall kind of thing. So there's plenty of places we could have eaten. But I've already decided in my mind that I'm never seeing this man again. So it doesn't matter what we do and where we eat, because quite literally, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the movie. So we go to Panera Bread and I order my, I don't know, sandwich, bread bowl. I don't even know what I got. And he starts doing, I must have turned and looked at him dead in his face. If you don't find that wallet, I will walk out right now. Pull that freaking wallet out of your pocket right now and stop playing with me. Be so very for real right now. And so we go to sit down. He's like, wow, that was a close one. I almost had to make you pay. He must have said something else that I just can't even think of right now. It like literally went into the back of my subconscious so fast because I would have ended up on Snapped. Like, you said something so foul and disrespectful that I'm not even going to let it go through my front brain, or else I am literally going to blow a fuse. So it just immediately went straight to the subconscious, and I just pushed my plate away. And I got up and I said, you know what? I'm actually not going to make it to the movie. I'm not interested in going to the movie. So you enjoy your bread bowl, and I never want to hear from you ever again. His mouth hit the floor, which was mind-boggling to me. And I looked at him like, oh, are you surprised? You're surprised? This has been an awful 45 minutes. We haven't even made it to an hour yet, okay? You almost killed me on the freeway. Okay, your homeboy the whole way. I don't even know your first name at this point. I have the ick from the top of my head to the sole of my feet, and I just cannot sit and listen to you breathe for the next however many minutes. I refuse. So I'm gonna go home, eat some ramen, and watch Game of Thrones, because I just simply cannot. By this point, my fight or flight kicks in. He's like, and I'm just walking away. Like, I just don't have the capacity to like finish the conversation. And he's trying to figure out what it is. So I like basically leave the restaurant. I leave Panera. I go into another restaurant and I go straight to the bathroom. And so I'm in the bathroom and I'm ordering my Uber. You can hear him from outside, like in the foyer, like, Kelly, where'd you go? He's like texting me, are you really about to leave right now? This is crazy. Come back. At least let me drive you home. Oh my God, this is so crazy. Kelly, where are you?
Dina! Christine is gone.
So he's screaming my name in the foyer. I feel how ridiculous he looks right now, screaming. Hear him in the restaurant. But obviously, you're not gonna come in the girls' bathroom. Outside of the door, Kelly, Kelly, where are you, Kelly? I'm like, this is actually insane. The screaming stops, and my Uber is here. The Uber driver pulls up. I have him pull up to the like very front of like the pickup area. So I'm just like, okay, I don't hear the screaming anymore. I don't think he's outside. Even if he is, I'm just gonna book it. I get outside of the restaurant. I see the Uber see me. And I just look at him, and I'm just walking, not speed walking. And now I'm full blown running to the car, and his face is like, he's like, starts turning on the car. I'm sure he's thinking like, I don't know if this girl's in danger or what, but I fully jump into this Uber. And I just go, drive, drive, drive. He was terrified. Oh my God, I didn't even tell you the worst part. The worst part was the man picked me up in basketball shorts, slides, a wife beater, and a do-rag on. Oh, really, Stacey Adams? What in the hoodlum bean is going on here? So I'm dressed to go on a date. I look cute as hell, and you're wearing basketball shorts and slides with dirty socks? Jail time, sir. Get jail. I never in my whole entire life. I'm still to this day embarrassed for it. If you see this, I hope you're not doing well.
I was told a really disturbing story recently, and it's taken me a little while to be able to put this video together because yeah, it's quite frightening, but I do feel like it could raise awareness and potentially help someone stay out of danger. So if you use Tinder, this video is for you. So this actually happened to a friend of a friend of a friend, so I don't actually know the person. So if this is you, I do apologise, but I was told this story, and I do think that sharing it could help, potentially help someone. So, a lady, she was speaking to a guy on Tinder. They were talking for a couple of weeks. They hadn't FaceTimed, but they were talking on the phone and WhatsApping constantly. They arranged to meet at a bar in London, a bar that he chose. On the day, she said she felt a little bit uneasy, so she decided to ask her best friend to come with her. So her best friend went into the bar first, where she was meeting this guy. Let's call him Adam, and we'll call her Jane. So Jane's friend has gone into the bar about 5 minutes before Jane did. Jane then goes in, going in to meet Adam. So Adam's not there when Jane gets there. Jane's waiting there for about 10 minutes. Her friend is in eyesight at the bar. So she's just waiting at the bar, just making sure everything's okay. Adam then walks in. Now she notices straight away that Adam's pictures had definitely been enhanced. He looked different to the pictures what she'd shown. Now he had a Essex accent. So he sat down, they've had a little chat, they're talking, they're getting on fine. Jane then says, right, I'm just going to pop to the loo, because they were talking about going to another bar. So she gets up, goes to the toilet. Her friend is watching. As her friend watches, she notices Adam put something in to Jane's drink. She then runs towards the toilet to let Jane know. When she told Jane this, Jane said something does feel off. There's something about this person, it's just not sitting right with me. Something's not sitting right. So Jane's friend then says, fine, let's leave. They walk towards the exit of the bar. As they're leaving, there is a large van outside with 5 men. They're all looking at the girls, looking at them in a strange way, as if they recognise Jane. All of a sudden, Adam comes running out of the bar towards them. Jane and her friend start to run towards the main road, and Adam starts to shout at them in a different language. They said they're not sure what language it was, but the men that he was with outside, they looked Eastern European. So they all then were together, and Jane believes that they were trying to kidnap her or trying to drug her and get her into that van. Now, this story gave me chills. And I've actually tried to film this video about 4 times now and struggled because imagine that. Like, I won't even want to imagine that. So please, guys, if you are using online dating, there are so many different things that can go wrong. You don't know who these people are, so please always make sure you FaceTime them. You know exactly who you're talking to. Check if they have social media. Just be really, really wary. Meet in a place that you know, that you've chosen, somewhere there's lots of people around.
This will go down in history as the worst first date I've ever had. He took me to Chipotle for our first date and then refused to pay for it.
Oh, brother.
It gets worse. Don't worry. Let's talk about the worst first date story that I have. Say this man's name is Max, right? I'll take my waist trainer off real quick. So when I meet Max, he asked me what it is that I'm looking for in a relationship. I already know when men ask you that, they're most likely asking because they just want to hook up and they want to make sure that you're on the same wavelength. I don't like to waste time and I don't like to be surprised, so I ask him. I tell him, are you just looking to hook up? I'm looking to just hang out with somebody and see if it turns into something serious. Basically go with the flow, which I'm cool with because I like going with the flow too. However, don't worry, I'm not fooled. I usually know that when men say that, it's also code word. I tell him cool, like I'm not looking for like a crazy relationship or anything, but definitely not looking to just like solely hook up with people. Come to the understanding that we're both like kind of on the same page, and then he plans a date. We're supposed to go out on a Monday, and then it was like a weekend day or something, and he texted me and he's like, hey, I'm not working actually. Like basically just like he was like on board and there's like nothing going on. Already like a really flagged, like you should never just meet a guy on like the day that he just asked to go out with you. At the same time, I was like, I'm bored, I don't give a shit. So I give him a coffee shop, I tell him to meet me there. Max was a very attractive man, like 6'3", throat tats, like fully tatted up. We hadn't spoken much. I didn't really know if his personality was all that great, so I was like, I hope that his personality matches his looks. The key component of this is that he's Dominican and Argentinian. So anyways, yeah, we just start walking, hanging out. I'm basically like, yo, I just want to have like a really chill day. Like, let's go to this park. The conversation is so easy. However, I have to often remind myself when I go out on first dates with guys that it's like, okay, just because this is happening doesn't mean it's a good match, because I am so good at having conversation with literally everyone. I have really always been that girl that I will leave a date and I'll be like, oh my God, I had so much fun. They were so cool to talk to. And then I realize I'm like, it was mostly me. Like, I'm just really interesting and fun on first dates. But in all seriousness, we're in the park and we're sitting there for 4 hours. We are talking about all types of stuff. I always love a first date that gets pretty serious. I think we were talking about like homelessness, aliens, afterlife, stuff about my dad and my family, things about his life growing up. Like, we were having really good conversation. Sit on a park bench for 4 hours, it means that y'all had to have like gotten along pretty well. After a considerable amount of time passes, we both kind of get the idea of like, okay, let's get up and go. Like, either this date is over or something else gonna happen. He's like, oh, like, would you like to go eat or something? I already was like, okay, when I met this man, we got along great, but he wasn't like the love of my life, because I have met a man once before that I like instantly knew he was the love of my life, and I have been like searching for that. I was like, I don't know if I want to go eat with him or not, but I also really had liked his personality. Like, I thought he was a cool guy. I was definitely very hesitant, and he was like, listen, like, I understand if you want to go home, but I would love to like sit down and talk with you and hang out with you more if you want. I'm like, what's it gonna hurt? Like, I'll go get a meal. So he's like, cool, do you want to go get ramen? Do you want to go get this? But I'm like, I don't know, you figure it out. Like, I'm a woman, I'm not supposed to use my brain cells when I'm around you. He is sitting there thinking about it, and then he starts going, oh, actually, like, okay, if you don't want to go eat, like, that's totally fine with me. Like, I will take my home. I was, yeah, I feel like we just have to make smart choices, and like, we can do this another time. I'm just like throwing the off. Okay, you know what, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine, I'll go home. We go our separate ways. I walk about 8 minutes, and this man calls me and goes, actually, I changed my mind. I made a couple of calls, like, let's go eat.
Oh, brother.
First of all, I don't know why in that moment I wasn't just like, made a couple calls. What the fuck did I make? But I was just like, oh. Okay, like, that's fine. I haven't even walked that far. You can just come meet me. He starts stumbling over his words, and he's like, well, actually, maybe just go home. It's fine. And I'm like, bro, I haven't even like left the fucking park. Like, let's go eat. At this point, I'm hungry too, and I thought we were gonna go eat, and you just like made me change my mind, and now I'm upset. So it's just like, let's just go through with it. So as we're walking, we're having a conversation about like cat feeders, because he has cats, and he tells me the reason that he left was because he had to go feed his cats, but he didn't want to say that because it didn't sound cool, supposedly. So the conversation comes up, and I'm like, you should just buy a cat feeder. They're super cheap on Amazon. He's like, yeah, I've been wanting to, but they're like $60, so I have to save up for it.
oh, baby does not have money whatsoever, which I get it. He's struggling, but perhaps you should not be going out with me. We're walking on our way to ramen, and as we're passing by the ramen place, pass by Chipotle. Of course, me who loves to yap and just create conversation, I'm like, oh my God, I really love Chipotle. He's looking, direction I'm pointing. The man goes, you like Chipotle? Can I eat there? Do you like Chipotle? Like, come on, are you okay with that? I've only seen a man whip his head that damn fast for some before, okay? I've never seen no man go, or some Chipotle cheap. I was like, clearly you are not doing okay. And I also wasn't even taking this man seriously. At this point, he'd already pissed me off about leaving and coming back. I was like, I'm just hungry. I'm just gonna get my Chipotle. Like, let's go. I don't mind. If I'm not gonna take you seriously, like for real, as like a boyfriend or anything, take me whatever, but I don't. So as Max and I are walking to Chipotle, we get right in front of Chipotle and he goes, give me 2 minutes. I have to go do something and I'll meet you in there. Oh. Okay. I don't know why I didn't like watch him because he just walked away. I went into Chipotle. He comes back in, so I go up to the line and I notice that as I'm getting closer to the line, he's making sure to keep as much distance away from me as possible. I am talking like COVID guidelines, 6 feet away from me. Man was like all the way by the trash can. Eventually, I realized, I'm like, oh my God, he's keeping all this distance from me because he doesn't want our meals to be grouped together so he doesn't have to pay for them. I accepted Chipotle because I was trying to give him some financial aid. Immediately, I'm like, oh yeah, this date is so done for. Like, I need to just get through this and go home. I pay for my little $16 Chipotle meal. I sit down, he goes pays for his, and he comes and sits down with me. I can't even hide my energy at this point. Like, the brokest boyfriend I've ever had has made me pay for the first date. I've never had a man ever in my life make me pay for the first date, especially at Chipotle. That's insane. Mind you, y'all, he also got him that $100 chicken, got him a little glass bottle drink. I dated a broker before, and when I went to Chipotle, that man would only buy himself just a meal, like a kid's meal. He wouldn't even do no drink, no nothing. I can barely fake the conversation, and I'm pretty sure that he could feel that I'm really not feeling it because he stops talking and there starts to be like little moments of silence between us, which hadn't happened before. I go to the bathroom because I'm like, I hope when I go to this bathroom, this man leaves and he's gone. I come back out, he is still there.
Oh, brother.
When I sit down, he starts giving me this spiel about how he just
wants to make sure that we're on the same page because he cannot provide and he's not ready for a relationship, and it doesn't even make any sense because the way that my job works and the way that he is in life right now, he just obviously couldn't be in anything serious.
I already had a conversation about this before we went out, and I told him I wasn't looking for anything serious, but clearly, baby, you cannot provide whatsoever. You can't even provide a Chipotle meal. He's basically like, oh, I just want to have fun. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad that you were open and honest. I'm basically thinking that he is very much aware that I'm very not feeling this at all. We part ways, I get in the car, I go home. I'm expecting to never hear from this man again. Not even 5 minutes after I leave, he texts me and goes, do you want to see each other again or no? I was like, there's absolutely no way you're that clueless. Straight up with him, and I'm like, listen, dude, I wasn't even wanting anything serious. I don't know why you went into this whole spiel, but the fact that you didn't pay for my $16 Chipotle meal just kind of really threw me off. Legit OD broke your way out of some cootie cat. That is just crazy to me. Conclusion, do not date Dominican men. I don't care how fine they are. And that, ladies, is why.
This is a story time about the worst ever date I ever went on, and no, it wasn't with my stalker. It was actually a completely different person. If you can even believe that, like, my luck. Let's set the scene, okay? I'm young, I just got out of a relationship, and I'm trying to mingle, you know, get to know people. I had heard of this guy through, like, friends, and I thought he was cute through Instagram. Little did I know I got hatfished. Like, it was completely not cute when the hat was off. He messages me on Instagram as all amazing first dates happen, and he's like, hey babe, you're so cute, wanna go on a date? You guys know me. What did I do? I folded and I said yes. At this point, I wasn't completely over my ex, so I felt like everything was giving me the ick, and honestly, I was kind of nervous to go on this date because obviously you don't know what a person really looks like until you meet them. My little shallow was trying to get a grasp on if I was even gonna think he was cute in person or if I was gonna get the ick, so I literally asked him, how tall are you? And he was like, 6 foot. I'm like, period. So I finally decided to let this guy pick me up because I knew people he knew, and I felt like I was pretty positive that he wouldn't be an absolute weirdo. Boy, was I wrong. He comes to my house and I walk outside, and his car is really freaking nice, especially for our age. Like, I was shocked at how nice the car was. I mean, this is a turn on not because I'm like a gold digger, but because I like to see that someone has like a work ethic and that they like take pride in the things that they have, whatever. Pop up in the car ready to be a little passenger princess, and I start talking to him. I'm like, hey. And like, he's nice, right? Like, he's chatting with me. We're having like a nice little cordial conversation, and then I look at the cup holder. There's just like a bottle of Henny on deck, and I'm not new to this. I'm from New York, so I know that like Henny is like a little clothing accessory for men out here, but like, I didn't think that was the vibe. At this point, I still didn't know where we were going on our date. He kind of made it like it was a surprise, so I asked. I'm like, where are we going? Where I'm from, there's this thing called a garbage plate, and a garbage plate is kind of like a mixture of a bunch of foods, and you go to garbage plate places when it's like late at night or when you're drunk, so he decides he wants a garbage plate, and I'm like, okay. Get to the garbage plate place, right? And he gets out of the car and he comes to open my door.
As you could have probably guessed, he was not 6 foot tall. He was shorter than me. And I was kind of like, red flag number 1, you lied about your height. Why? Why did you lie about it? The thing is like, I'm not against a short king. Like, I've been with shorter people and it's never really been a problem, but like, why lie? Why did you lie about it? We walk inside and we order our garbage plates and then we sit down and then he's like, oh, I have to run out to my car real quick. I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's gone outside for like 10 minutes and I'm just texting my girlfriends like, yeah, this is probably not gonna work. Comes back inside and we eat our garbage plates and then I'm just kind of like, I need an excuse to leave. So I'm like, oh, my mom wants me to come home. She needs help with something. Like visibly disappointed and angry by this. And I'm just kind of like, oh my God, this is getting scary. Like, please just take me home. We get in the car and we start driving back to my house and I happen to look over at the Hennessy bottle, the formerly full Hennessy bottle. And it is now empty, like fully empty. And I'm just like, okay, I'm on a date with a fire-breathing dragon. How did he just drink all of that? And also, why is he risking my life?
I went on a date with a very famous actor and it ended up being horrible. So we went out to eat at this really nice place in Miami, one of my faves. Everyone knows him. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, there's gonna be no type of discretion. It was like the entire time people were in our face, looking, turning, watching, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Anyway, we sit down, we have our table, we order food, and I don't even know how the conversation ended up here, but he starts talking about how he hates when girls wear Fashion Nova. Meanwhile, I'm wearing Fashion Nova. And I'm like, yo. So I'm too embarrassed at this point to even say anything. At the time, I work with Fashion Nova, like as an influencer. This is back before Instagram deleted my page, but whatever. I'm feeling really cute in my outfit, but I'm like, I'm sir. So we keep talking, we keep eating. The food was so damn good. I'm trying not to eat everything because I can eat a lot and I definitely am a plate clearer, but my outfit was really tight and like a light color, kind of like a stretchy material where I was like, yo, if we do anything after this, I'm gonna look pregnant if I keep eating, so I slow down. So we start talking about family and his family dynamics and my family dynamics, and don't know again how this comes up, but I'm talking about my father and how we don't have a relationship, blah, blah, blah. How about this man starts telling me that I need to find a way for my father and I to be cool again. Sir, do you know this man? Do you know any of the reasons why we are not cool? Do you understand that there could be so many reasons, like he graped me, dropped the G, that we're not cool? Which he didn't, but either way, there can be a multitude of reasons that I'm not with him. And he was just like, oh, you know, a lot of times people's moms don't tell you the whole story of what goes on with your dad, and then before you know it, you have animosity for him and it's not even real. And I'm like, it's crazy to me that men will literally defend other men that they do not know whatsoever off of the strength of what's happened in their current life. So I'm just drinking more. I'm like, Lord have mercy, what is this date? And he is a little older than me, so he has that, like, I know what I'm talking about, like, slightly condescending manner that I can't stand. So I'm hitting him with a shake your head, Jess, shake your head. Because if I say how I really feel, I'm gonna flip this table and dip. So I'm just like, stay pleasant, just get through this evening. And then it gets worse. I don't know how we end up here, but we start talking about Rihanna. This man starts telling me how much he loves Rihanna, how much he wishes he could date Rihanna, how much he would just do anything for her, how he's like a super fan and all this shit. And I'm like, bruh, who doesn't want to date Rihanna? She's a baddie, she's beautiful, she's from the islands. You done know how the thing go. But can we not do that right now? Bruh. When I tell you this man went into strict and very definitive detail about Rihanna's appearance, about how classy she is, about how he felt like he would just suck her toes and just, it was insane. I knew I would never see him again after the date. I was like, yeah, this is dead. Like, we're never doing this again. I said to myself, it's so funny that a lot of women will think that dating men with status and dating these famous men is just gonna make life easier, when they don't realize that a lot of the times, not saying always, but a lot of the times when men have clout or they have money or they have some kind of status, they have their own crap going on in the background that you're probably going to find out about, and they just make it really hard to deal with. and they're not willing to see their own crap because in their mind they're perfect and they're a catch and you should be lucky to be here. But yeah, I never saw bro again. Negative 10 out of 10, would not recommend.
So I was with this person for 15 years. We moved in together. We was there for a year and a half. I then got an eviction notice. So all the money I was giving him per month, he was spending it on himself when he was supposed to be going to work every day like I was. He wasn't going to work, he was going to his mum and dad's and sleeping all day and spending all the money that I give him to pay wages. He spent it on himself. We got an eviction notice. We had to get out. That didn't kill my feelings for him. My mum went to bed. She didn't wake up the next morning. She passed away, unfortunately. On her funeral, he went and played football instead of being there for me. That didn't kill my feelings for him. 2 years after that, my brother went to bed. He didn't wake up. He passed away. And he dumped me. That didn't kill my feelings for him. I fell pregnant with our daughter. I went into labour. He went out and got pissed while I was in labour. He came back at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was pretty much nearly pushing it at this point. While he was throwing up in the toilet, I gave birth to his daughter while he threw up in the toilet through the whole birth. That didn't kill my feelings for him. I pretty much brought her up on my own while working full time. He slept all day. That didn't kill my feelings for him. When my daughter was 8 months old, he was the worst dad ever. Never spent any time with her. Would never have her for me. I would have to drop my daughter off either at nursery or at my dad's because sometimes I would work until 11 o'clock at night. I would work. I would then pick her up from my dad's while he was at home sleeping. That didn't kill my feelings for him. We then had our second child. I had pneumonia and sepsis while I was pregnant with him. Rushed into hospital, was in intensive care. I nearly lost him. They brought him out early. I then had a little baby and I was very ill in hospital. My daughter needed looking after and taken to school. He wouldn't do it. My dad had to take my daughter to school. That didn't kill my feelings for him. I had to sneak my daughter into the hospital because my dad was too ill to look after her. I had nobody else to look after her. I snuck her into the hospital. Social services found out. So while I was looking after my daughter in the hospital in my own room, I was also looking after a baby as well. And I had machines and everything attached to me because I was ill. But I had my own room because it was neonatal. So after they said they was going to put her in care until I came out of hospital with my son because he wouldn't look after her, that killed my feelings for him. He was far more important than to look after his kids. He would rather put them in care than look after them. There is nothing bigger and there's nothing more that turns a woman off than a guy not wanting to be there for his kids. That killed my feelings. And we are the happiest we've ever been.
Okay. I still can't believe that this happened to me, but let's get into it. Of course, we connected on Hinge and we started communicating in the app. Back in my dating days, the first thing I would always ask a man is, are you really single? Do you have children? Are you married? Have you ever been married? Get straight to the point. He responded to me, I have 2 children and I shared them with my wife, but she died. She passed away. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sad. It was so early in us getting to know each other. I did not move any further in asking like, how long has it been and what happened? I left things exactly where they were and we moved on to more pleasant conversation. And then we started hanging out and that was going well. And then he just randomly mentions that he has a brother and that his brother is like a hood version of him. Now, to give you background on this guy, black man, but there is no black, he's a black man. He was very intelligent and spoke really well, and we both shared a love for sciences and math and things like that. But he felt like his brother didn't go the academic route with life and had been in and out of jail, and so he referred to him as the hood version of him. However, when he said this, I was thinking, I would like to see it. I would like to see that. You know, if you look just like you but a hood version, what does that look like? And so I joked about this with my friends, and I decided I'm gonna go and see if I can find this hood version of his brother. So I know his first and last name. I go on Facebook. It's not hard to find him. I find him on Facebook, and I'm going through his friends list for anyone that has the same last name as him, to which I come up on a male name. I click said male's name, and their page is like semi-private, but I can see photos. I can see a few things. So when I go on the profile photos, the first one, it really didn't mean anything to me because it was his 2 kids, but they were next to 2 more kids that looked similar to his 2 kids, but he said that his brother looks just like him, so automatically I assume that his brother has kids and that they're close, which would make sense. Once I go to the next few pictures on said page, I notice that it's a woman. And I realized that this male name is actually a unisex name. And then I realized that this woman just posted maybe a week prior, a few days prior, and this woman is happily married to him with their 4 children. So now I'm like, okay, it's one thing that you said that your wife was no longer here, and she here, baby, she alive. But why you tell me about only 2 of the kids? Why you had to unalive the other 2 too? It was just too much. So I'm like, how do I tell him without letting him know that I've been snooping on his Facebook? And then I realized, honestly, none of that matters because he's a married man and I'm not moving forward or progressing in this whatever we were trying to figure out and whatever we were trying to do. So I'm like, hey, went on your Facebook, saw this name, clicked on said name. Your wife is still alive. To which he responded, well, she's dead to me.
Hi guys, so while I'm getting ready, I thought I would share a story time of when I went on a Tinder date that ended up being super dangerous. Thought this could help a lot of the girls that are in the dating scene to avoid my mistakes, because it definitely is such a blessing that I made it out of this situation. So okay, this was about I want to say 7 years ago, way before I met my husband, had a kid and everything. I was going through a breakup. So I had just come back from Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for a year to get over my breakup and just find myself, you know, jump off cliffs and do that whole thing, which was great. So I came back kind of in this very reckless mindset. Like I just was a everything goes type of gal at the time, which was super unhealthy. Because of this, I, you know, would go on dates and not vet the guys I was dating. And at the time, Netflix and chill was also super common. So I met up with this guy at a bar, and he seemed kind of okay, but there was already one thing that kind of threw me off that I noticed right away. And that was that his eyes looked super dilated the whole time. So like I'm talking face to face with this guy, so I can see that his eyes are definitely green, but they looked black. Like I could see the green rim around the black, which was really strange to me, and I knew that could mean a couple of different things, including drug use, but yeah, it was a little off. Then, the other thing that was weird was that he would laugh hysterically, and it was a very creepy, weird laugh. It made the whole restaurant look, and they would stare at him, and they would look at me like, ma'am, are you okay? So after about an hour of talking, he asked me if I wanted to go to this rooftop bar, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we go to this rooftop bar. It was a good environment, everything was fun. And then while we're there, we see this girl who is being like groped by this guy that she's dancing with, and she's clearly intoxicated. He's like touching her very inappropriately. So I step in and I go up to the girl and I say, hey, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Like, she's just like out of it. And so I'm trying to like pull her away from the guy, trying to get her over to like security, like, and the guy just like kind of goes off on me and snatches her away from me, and I literally couldn't get to her. Like, the crowd kind of took them away. I go back to the guy that I was on the date with, and he's just like, well, she put herself into that situation, so I don't know why you're even trying to say anything. Like, she put herself there. And I instantly was like, who the hell am I on a date with? Follow for part 2. Hi guys, so this is part 2 to my Tinder date horror story. So if you haven't watched part 1, go watch it so you can understand the background of the story. So I'm at this bar, like I said, on the rooftop. He said that really strange comment about the girl that was clearly being sexually harassed. I have like 1 drink, and he's like asking me, oh, do you want more drinks? And like, it's, you know, kind of trying to get me a little tipsy or drunk. But mind you, this is me looking back in hindsight. But at the time, I didn't see any of this. I was very young. I was in my early 20s, super naive. Even that situation wasn't a red flag to me. It's a super red flag now. But back then, I was just like, maybe he's just a guy. So when he asked me, okay, do you want to go back to my place? Me being desperate because I'm going through a breakup and just wanting the attention and wanting to make every date seem like it's my boyfriend, I said yes, which was so dumb. But okay, I go back with him. We go to his apartment, we go upstairs. He's telling me about how he works from home and all this on the elevator. And then he casually brings up that he does cocaine. I don't even remember how it came up, but he just said it. And I was just like, okay. And he said, well, at least it's not heroin. I was like, yeah, at least it's not heroin. At this point, I wanted to go home, but I had already gotten up in the elevator with him. And so I was like, Donna, you're tripping. You know, let me just see what this guy's about. Who knows? Maybe I can change him. So we go in his apartment. He goes into the bathroom and he comes out and his pants are like unbuckled. And I tell him, your pants are unbuckled. And he says, oh, I didn't see that. Was super creepy. And so I go in the bathroom and I start like thinking like, am I like, are these red flags? Are these signs? And I'm starting to get a little scared too. So I didn't really know what to do. So we're like sitting there on the couch and everything, just talking about life, getting all deep. I have this thing where I can really pull information out of people. Like, I'm really good at getting deep with people, which is why I'm a psychology major. So I'm sitting here talking about this guy, talking about his life, his family. And then I asked him the simple question, where do you stand with God? Where do you stand with your faith? He instantly looked at me with the creepiest, scariest, most blankest face and was like, don't ever ask me that question. Follow for part 3. Okay, so this is part 3 to the story of my Tinder date horror story. So, you know, I had just asked him about his relationship with God and like, where does he stand with his faith? And he like looked at me with a creepy look and said, don't ever ask me that again. And then he continues to say, let me explain something to you. When it comes to God, I'm here and he's here. And I was just like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, I follow a higher power. And I said, and I started to just get chills when he said that. And I realized this is now a situation. I am talking to somebody that is either crazy or satanic. I started to realize that I needed to really reevaluate how I was going to handle this situation, because I was definitely in a dangerous one. This is when the light bulb finally came on. So at this point, I decided to put on my psychology hat, not freak out, and talk to him like he can trust me, because I could tell that he noticed that he went too far and that he revealed too much. And I didn't want him to react to that in any way. So I was just like kind of explaining to him my faith and my Christianity and helping him to understand why God is so important. And I just started spitting scripture that I to this day don't understand where this came from. I never memorized scriptures before. I mean, except for like basic scripture. So I really was just like spitting out all these facts, and I don't know where it came from, but he was just, it angered him more and more every time I would spit out these facts about God and the Bible and everything, he was just getting mad, and he would come back at me with his side of things. And he told me, you know, I think I'm just a dark person, honestly. Sometimes I wake up and I see this dark figure that just sits in this corner of my room, and I love it. Like, I genuinely love the feeling of the darkness's presence. And I just was freaking out on the inside. But I just continued to stay calm, and I said, okay, so what do you mean? Like, I'm talking to him literally like he's my patient. I'm like, so you said darkness. What exactly do you mean by that? Like, that's a very specific term. And I said, where do you think this originates from? And this is when it got really creepy. He says, I'm going to tell you something that nobody really knows. And I said, you can trust me. And he said, I'm not from here. I was like, so where are you from? He's like, I'm from space. I said, okay, you're from space. And mind you, I'm like acting and pretending like everything he's saying is that it makes sense. And I said, so you're from space, so you're like an alien? And he's like, no, I wouldn't call it that. He said, but I came down here a long time ago, and I am just different than most people. And I said, so you told me before that you have a twin. He told me they had a sister that's a twin. I was like, is she from space too? And he said, yeah, she is. I was like, okay, well, tell me more about this. Like, how did you come here? How, like, were you born into this world? Like, what happened? And he said, I was a star, and I came down as a star. And I said, that's interesting. And then we start talking about the figure that he sees in his room every night. And I was just like, you know, I think honestly, I'm probably in your life for the right reason. I'm in your life to show you that you actually have a light within you that you need to let shine. And, you know, this isn't who you have to be. And he was just like, no, I know that I'm dark. So he then says, I think I have a lot to teach you. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, there's a lot for you to learn. And I was just getting so creeped out. I literally just started to kind of think about how I could get out of the situation without triggering him in a way that wasn't obvious. So I told him, after talking to him for a long time, I mean, I really like just sat there and talked to him for a long time, because it was almost like I was stalling from taking action, because I knew once I started to take action that things would get heated. He could either go and get triggered, or he could be completely fine with me asking to leave. But I just didn't know which way it was going to go. So I was kind of stalling from actually getting up and just doing it. You know what I mean? I was just kind of freaked out. So I told him, after hours and hours of talking, going back and forth on darkness versus light and all these weird conversations that I honestly don't remember most of it. I wish I had written it down. I tell him, hey, so I really am thinking that we're such a good fit for each other. I was like, I think we've just bonded so much tonight, and I definitely want to do this again. But I have to take my brother to a dentist appointment tomorrow morning early. You know, you're all the way downtown. So I need to get back uptown so that I can make sure that I'm up in time and everything to bring him. And he was like, oh, but I don't think I can let you leave. And I said, what do you mean you can't let me leave? And he said, I just feel like if I let you leave, you're never going to talk to me again. And I was like, no, like, I totally think that we're a great fit for each other. I just need to, you know, do this. I was actually going to go on a hike tomorrow. So no, like, genuinely, let's meet up tomorrow around noon. I'm gonna text you. We're gonna hike. Like, I'm giving him literal details so that he really thinks that this is gonna move forward. Because I was so scared that he would think that I was in any way moved by this conversation. So he sits for a second. He's like, oh, okay, you know, I guess you could, yeah, we can do that. We can meet up tomorrow. And so then I was like, it was so great meeting you. And then he lets me outside of his apartment. Mind you, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I leave out of his apartment and I walk so fast to the elevator, go down, go to my car. and there was like nobody outside. There was nobody around. I hadn't seen a soul, so it was just even creepier just walking to my car. Like I was just, all of the adrenaline that was in my body was gone. I now was very scared. Even driving home, I was scared. I was like, it was like I just watched a scary movie, and everything's just like, you know how you watch a scary movie and then you're scared to have the lights off. That's how I felt. But yeah, so I got out of that situation, luckily, but this isn't the end of the situation. There's another part to this that actually involves my friend. So I have to ask her if it's okay for me to mention this last really significant part, because it was very traumatizing for her. So keep following for the last part. I promise I will be getting back to y'all either way.
A woman had just made a daring escape from a kidnapper's trunk. The abductor had stopped at a gas station to refuel, and in that brief moment, she seized her only chance. She struggled to break free, but as he returned to the car and prepared to leave, she finally forced the trunk open and leapt out. She ran into the gas station, shaken and desperate, startling a nearby customer who could barely believe what he was seeing. With a trembling voice, she explained her terrifying experience to the man, who immediately alerted the store clerk. He then took her to a safe place. There, she waited, still shaking, until police arrived to take her to safety.
This is method 2, the being fixable method. Now, where a lot of people go wrong on this is they think that you can simply just be scum and things are going to work out for you. Well, that is part of it. There is much more nuance to it. Like if you're just simply scum, some of these people aren't going to want to deal with you. The key part is to know what flaws are deal breakers and what flaws aren't deal breakers. Examples, if you talk about not being loyal, that's probably going to be a deal breaker. But if you talk about struggling with communication, it probably won't be. But the real key part with these flaws is to mention that you have them, but never actually show that you have them. What do I mean by this? I mean, you can say something like, yo, full disclosure, I'm not the best at communication. However, when a situation arises where you have to communicate your ass off. But while you're communicating, say, I know I'm not the best at communication, but I am trying. I hope, I'm doing okay right now. And you can always swing this into some pretty natural sounding love bombing. Like me, for instance, I'm a bad texter. So whenever I do this, I'll be like, yo, I'm a horrible texter. And the response is always, well, you're texting me just fine. And I'm like, it's different though. And they're like, how's it different? I'm like, I don't know. Like, gosh. And I just brush it off, right? So in their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, Bryce likes me a lot, but he's trying not to show it. But in my mind, they're playing right into my hands. What this whole fake telling on yourself thing does is consciously they think they're better than you, which we need because we need to feed into their ego in this instance. But subconsciously, they know they've never seen you be anything less than spectacular. But speaking of this, we need to feed into their egos more. So what you can do is start love bombing them in ways that aren't exclusively romantic. When they eventually share some bullshit philosophy that they pretend to have, like, oh, when someone does me dirty, I don't even get mad because that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me, and I value myself, blah, blah, blah. Pretend like that's the most profound shit you've ever heard and not something that they just make up to make themselves feel better. Like, act super impressed, and when they keep blabbering on about it, like, oh, my ex, blah, 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 what you need to do is be like, oh my gosh, can I just tell you, like, the growth you must have had, I find so astounding because, I know I struggle with trying to get that sort of view. So I can't even imagine the journey you must have went on to come across it yourself. And I really just want to say I really admire that. This obviously gasses them up. So you eventually become the guy or gal that makes them feel larger than life. And that's always what you want to do with these healed people. Also, do not be afraid to confide in these people a little bit. Be like, you know what? I have anxiety. And they'll probably say something to you like, have you tried meditating? You should be like, no, not really. Does it really work like that? And they're always going to be like, yes, oh my gosh, you have to try it, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's what you do. You pretend that you tried meditating. And then you check back in on them later and be like, yo, I just want to say I was really stressed out earlier. But then I tried meditating like you said. And I've tried it a few times earlier, but it wasn't really working. But now I feel like it's really starting to have a positive effect. This is going to make them feel like you're getting better. And it's going to be their responsibility. They're going to take the credit for you. And that's what they want at the end.
I never imagined I'd end up with a dating app horror story, but here I am. It all started innocently enough when I matched with Kyle on Tinder Love. His profile caught my eye immediately, handsome, successful, and into all the same things as me. We started chatting, and he seemed perfect, sweet, attentive, and genuinely interested in getting to know me. After a week of messaging, we decided to meet for coffee. I was a bundle of nerves, but Kyle put me at ease right away with his charming smile and easygoing manner. He was even more attractive in person, and our conversation flowed effortlessly. We talked for hours, laughing and sharing stories. At the end of that first date, I was completely smitten. We started seeing each other regularly after that. Kyle planned the most thoughtful dates. Picnics in the park, cozy movie nights, fancy dinners at trendy restaurants. He was always such a gentleman, opening doors and pulling out my chair. He'd surprise me with little gifts and send good morning texts every day. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, but Kyle just seemed too good to be true. About a month in, things started to shift. It was subtle at first. We were getting ready to go out dancing when Kyle made a comment about my outfit being a bit revealing. I brushed it off, but then he started critiquing my clothes more often. He frowned when I wore makeup or styled my hair a certain way. It was always under the guise of being concerned about me, but it made me feel self-conscious. Then Kyle started getting possessive. He'd get upset if I was busy and couldn't hang out. He questioned who I was with and what I was doing when we weren't together. If I mentioned a male coworker or friend, his eyes would narrow and he'd grill me about my relationship with that person. He started showing up unannounced at my workplace or apartment, claiming he just wanted to surprise me. I found myself walking on eggshells around Kyle. I started censoring what I said and changing how I dressed to avoid setting him off. My friends noticed the change in me and expressed concern, but I made excuses for Kyle's behavior. I was in too deep and couldn't see the situation clearly. Things came to a head one night when I went out for drinks with some girlfriends. Kyle blew up my phone all night, demanding to know where I was and who I was with. When I got home, I had a sinking feeling and decided to check my social media privacy settings. To my horror, I discovered Kyle had somehow gotten access to all my accounts. He'd been monitoring everything I posted and everyone I interacted with online. When I confronted Kyle about it, he flipped the script on me. He accused me of being the one with trust issues. He claimed I was overreacting and that he was just trying to protect me. Kyle was so convincing that I started to question my own perceptions of reality. Maybe I was being paranoid. But then my best friend Sarah pulled me aside. She told me Kyle had been messaging her and other friends behind my back. He'd been feeding them lies about me, trying to isolate me from my support system. Sarah showed me the manipulative texts he'd sent, painting himself as a concerned boyfriend and me as unstable and untrustworthy. I was stunned. The Kyle I thought I knew was a complete facade. I decided to end things immediately, but Kyle didn't make it easy. He cried and pleaded, swearing he'd change. When that didn't work, he turned nasty. He threatened to share private photos of me. He said he'd ruin my reputation and career if I left him. Terrified but determined, I blocked Kyle on everything and warned my friends and family about him. I changed all my passwords and beefed up security on my accounts. For weeks, I was constantly looking over my shoulder, afraid Kyle would show up. Just when I thought it was over, I started noticing strange things. My car tires were slashed one night. I'd catch glimpses of someone who looked like Kyle watching me from across the street. Unsigned packages started showing up at my door. I was living in constant fear. I went to the police, but without concrete evidence, there wasn't much they could do. I felt helpless and alone. That's when I decided to take matters into my own hands. I started documenting everything, every strange occurrence, every gut feeling. I installed security cameras and kept a detailed log of Kyle's behavior. A few months later, I got a message from a woman named Jess. She'd seen an old photo of me and Kyle together. It turned out Kyle had done the same thing to her and several other women. He had a pattern of portraying himself as the perfect guy, then slowly taking control of his victims' lives. Jess and I connected with some of the other women Kyle had traumatized. Together, we pieced together his tactics and timeline. We realized Kyle had been doing this for years, moving from city to city to find new victims. With our combined evidence, we were finally able to build a case against him. It took months of legal battles, but Kyle was eventually charged with stalking and harassment. Seeing him face consequences for his actions was both terrifying and empowering. It didn't erase the trauma he'd caused, but it was a step towards healing. Today, I'm still cautious about online dating, but I haven't given up on finding love. I'm just much more aware of red flags, and I'm not afraid to walk away at the first sign of controlling behavior. My experience with Kyle was harrowing, but I'm stronger for having gone through it. I hope sharing my story might help other women spot the signs of emotional abuse before it's too late. I never imagined I'd be the protagonist in my own dating app horror story. It all started on a chilly autumn evening when Claire decided to give online dating a shot. Freshly single and ready to mingle, I downloaded the app everyone was talking about. Little did I know, this decision would lead me down a path of deception, heartbreak, and unexpected self-discovery. As I swiped through profiles, one caught my eye. Tom, 34 entrepreneur. His smile was warm, his bio witty, and his pictures showed a man who seemed to have it all together. I hesitated for a moment before swiping right. To my surprise, we matched instantly. My heart skipped a beat as a message from Tom popped up. "Hey there, Claire. Love your profile. What's your take on pineapple on pizza?" And just like that, we were off. Our conversations flowed effortlessly. We chatted about everything from our favorite books to our wildest travel dreams. Tom was charming, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. He told me about his latest business venture, a tech startup that was keeping him busy around the clock. I found his ambition attractive, and his stories of board meetings and investor pitches were a world away from my 9-to-5 job. After a week of nonstop texting, Tom asked me out. We met at a cozy Italian restaurant downtown. He was even more handsome in person, dressed in a tailored suit that hinted at his success. The conversation flowed as easily as the wine, and I found myself completely captivated. As we parted ways that night, Tom kissed me on the cheek and promised to see me again soon. Over the next few months, we fell into a routine of sorts. Our dates were sporadic, but always exciting. Tom would sweep into town, take me to fancy restaurants or exclusive clubs, and then disappear again, citing business commitments. I understood, after all, being an entrepreneur meant unpredictable hours and constant travel, right? But as time went on, I started to notice little things that didn't quite add up. Tom never invited me to his place, always insisting on meeting at restaurants or my apartment. He was often vague about his whereabouts, and there were times when he'd go off the grid for days. I tried to rationalize it, telling myself that this was just part of dating a busy, successful man. One night, after Tom had canceled our plans last minute, I found myself alone with a bottle of wine and my thoughts. On a whim, I decided to look Tom up on Facebook. I'd never done it before, respecting his privacy, but something in my gut told me to check. As I typed his name into the search bar, my heart was racing. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, staring back at me from the screen, was Tom. But he wasn't alone. The profile picture showed him with a beautiful woman and 2 young children. My mind reeled as I scrolled through his timeline. Anniversary posts, family vacations, proud dad moments at Little League games. The reality hit me like a ton of bricks. Tom wasn't just married. He had a whole other life I knew nothing about. I spent the next few hours in a daze piecing together the lies. All those business trips, family vacations, the late night meetings, probably tucking his kids into bed. The entrepreneur lifestyle. A convenient excuse for his limited availability. I felt sick, used, and utterly foolish. The next day, I confronted Tom. I asked him to meet me at a coffee shop, determined to get answers. When he arrived, looking as handsome and carefree as ever, my resolve almost crumbled. But then I remembered the smiling faces of his wife and children, and my anger resurged. I laid out everything I discovered, watching as the color drained from his face. At first, he tried to deny it, claiming it was a misunderstanding. But as I showed him screenshot after screenshot, his defenses crumbled. He broke down, admitting to everything. He begged me not to tell his wife, swore he'd end things with the other women. Yes, there were others. I wasn't the only one he'd been stringing along. In that moment, I saw Tom for who he really was, a skilled manipulator who had been playing a dangerous game. He'd used the anonymity of the dating app to create a persona that was just believable enough. He played on my emotions, making me feel special while keeping me at arm's length. It was a masterclass in deception, and I had fallen for it completely. The aftermath was messy. I ended things with Tom immediately, but the emotional toll lingered. I struggled with trust issues, questioning every interaction I had. Was everyone hiding something? Were all my relationships built on lies? I felt like I was living in a spy novel, constantly looking for hidden meanings and secret agendas. It took time, but I slowly began to heal. I talked to a therapist, opened up to friends about what had happened. Their support was crucial in helping me move forward. I even connected with some of the other women Tom had been seeing. We formed an unlikely support group, bonding over our shared experience and helping each other process the betrayal. Slowly, I started to dip my toes back into the dating pool. It was scary at first, and I found myself constantly on guard. But I also discovered a new sense of empowerment. I was clear about what I wanted and wasn't afraid to ask the tough questions early on. One day, about a year after the Tom fiasco, I received an unexpected message. It was from Tom's wife, Sarah. My heart raced as I opened it, unsure of what to expect. Sarah explained that she had discovered Tom's infidelity and, in the process of unraveling his lies, had found out about me and the other women. Instead of anger, her message was full of gratitude. She thanked me for my part in exposing Tom's double life. It had been a painful revelation, but it had allowed her to make informed decisions about her future and that of her children. As I read her words, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The guilt and shame I'd been carrying, the nagging feeling that I'd somehow been complicit in hurting this family, began to dissipate. Sarah's message ended with an unexpected invitation. She wanted to meet to talk face to face. As I prepare for tomorrow, I can't help but reflect on the journey that led me here, from the excitement of that first match with Tom to the devastation of discovering his lies. And now to this unexpected twist. Life, it seems, is full of surprises. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I do know this: I'm not the same person I was when this all began. I'm stronger, wiser, and more true to myself than ever before. Whatever happens when I meet Sarah, I'll face it head on with honesty and courage. As I close my laptop and get ready for bed, I can't shake the feeling that this isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. And for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see where it leads.
Some things that we can derive from all of these stories are: don't be too polite for your own good. You notice a lot of these women tend to get themselves into sticky situations because pushy guys or pathetic guys, or, well, it's kind of hard to be pushy without being pathetic, but you know what I mean. These guys end up pushing us into a corner and making us feel like we're being impolite if we just step out on the date whenever we see some red flags, or that we're being impolite if we tell them to leave our home if they're freaking us out, or we're being impolite if whatever. Don't be afraid to look into a guy. Don't be afraid to background check him. And if things are getting serious, you should background check him. You should look into him. You should ask family and friends about him. And if at any point you feel like things just aren't right or you don't know, take a step back. The right man will wait. The right man will be patient. The right man will be understanding. The right man won't need you to explain and explain and explain everything into the ground. He will trust you and believe that you are an intelligent woman and you've got good reason for doing things. So if you've known a guy for a few weeks or a few months or even a few years, and one thing happened that just made you feel uneasy, but you feel like you might ruin the relationship if you say you want to take things slow or take a step back or whatever, then guess what? He's not the one. You should break up with him just over that. If you know that he's the kind of guy that isn't going to stick around or be understanding enough, and he's going to throw away the whole relationship just because you want to slow down for a little while, then he's not the one. Anyway, there are so many more clips that I could share. I had to do a lot of weeding through these things. I think I'm going to have to do another part to this. I think we're going to have another girls only meeting pretty soon. And the next one is probably going to be even more disturbing because I didn't even get to all the true crime murder cases and stuff. I mean, things get pretty dark. I mean, dudes will kill you just because you don't go out on a date with them, just because they feel rejected. I mean, we haven't really scratched the surface yet, or barely scratched the surface. So yeah, if you appreciate my incredibly hard work, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this so other ladies can be made aware of what's really going on in this world. And if you'd like to help me continue my work, please donate. I would really, truly appreciate that. Every single dollar helps more than you know, and it will be put to good use. So thank you all again for your time. God bless you, ladies, in the name of Jesus Christ. See you later. Toodaloo.
You're the best decision I have made. You're the only constant in my change. I get knocked down, but you pick me up. I know I've made a mess of things, and somehow I'll probably do it all again, but you're not faced. Sometimes I need reminding, it's all in your hands, your timing. Just take a breath, it's okay, I'm okay. When it understand every heart. You know the end, the middle, and the start. All my mistakes. You're never running out of grace. Sometimes I need reminding. It's all in your hands, your timing. You're in the big and small things, in all things. When it feels like the whole world's caving, you say again that I'm still worth saving. When everything I try keeps failing, you lift my head up, tell me I'm loved. Been running fast, trying to chase perfection. You slow me down, give me your perspective. You're not worried about my success, you just want my heart, that's who you are. You just want my heart, that's who you are. No, you'll never let me down. Don't even think that you know how. I know you have it figured out. No, you'll never let me down. Don't even think that you know how. I know you have it figured out. When it feels like the whole world's caving, you say again that I'm still worth saving.